Derivative Jill.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello, I'm Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations, number 64. Today we're reviewing the next original series episode, and it's The Deadly Years. And we're here today with Scotty R37 and Pop Culture Curator. Thank you guys for being here.
Hello, hello, my pleasure.
And
good to see everybody in the chat.
Yeah, and Pop Culture, you're here, and I want everyone to keep him in your positive thoughts and prayers while we have a good time talking about Star Trek with him. He's back at the hospital.
Yep, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure everyone knows that Jedi Bill will be holding a fundraiser stream for him on his channel to help Pop Culture escape California.
Escape California, hopefully, and move in and have Jedi Bill and Nina as roommates. I couldn't imagine anything better.
Yeah, while you have to deal with this medical trouble.
Yes. Right now, I'm just trying to narrow down a timeline, which is not easy because preliminary tests are still coming in. But
right,
a lot of people are wanting to know, so I will let you guys know as soon as I know more.
Right, but the live stream should be fun. We'll be talking about pop culture, lots of different topics. And for Scotty R37 over on the Phantasmagorium on Thursday, we're going to review Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Anything else happening over there?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nobody tells me nothing.
Now you mean the good Quantum Leap, right?
Yeah, classic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far.
So
I'm just saying you're not covering. I'm just clarifying that you're not covering the new one.
No plans to do so.
All right.
Well,
great.
and if you want to stop by and listen to Jill and I review, we usually do 2 episodes a week. But even if you don't want to, just check out an old episode of Quantum Leap. It puts a smile on your face. It's just so nice. It's wholesome. It's so
true.
Uplifting.
I agree.
It does make you feel better.
It was a highlight of the decade. It was the 90s, right? 90s. Yeah, it was a really good show.
Yeah. Like even when I think that it's homework, it's like, oh, I got to watch an episode of Quantum Leap. By the time I get done the second episode, I'm like, oh, I want to watch more.
I tried to get my mother to watch it because she usually likes fantasy, horror, sci-fi, Twilight Zone, all that. And she's like, I don't know. Every time I turn the channel, it's the guy, and he's always in a dress. And I said, no, there's actually not that many episodes.
Well, so far there have been 3, but actually 2 where he's a woman. 1, he's just a cop in a dress.
Undercover.
Yeah, undercover operation.
I'm waiting for the one that he leaps into a chimp. That's the one I'm really looking forward to.
That's the other one that your mom would have run over.
Why is he a monkey?
Why is he in a cage?
Right. I told her, I said, so you won't watch Quantum Leap, but you'll watch Highway to Heaven. All right.
Well, but I tried to get my...
It's like, oh.
I tried to get my dad to watch it. And he was like, I don't get it. He's just different every episode. It's not, I don't understand. I can't follow this plot. And I was like, no, he's the same. It's just the lives he leaps into. But that's something we can talk about on Thursday. If you're interested, it's a good time.
It is. And hello to Disney Sheepherder. I'm saying hello to the chat early for some reason today. Hello to Reed Bavel. What's up, Plus C Nation? So plus C is, of course, part of the antiderivative solution. And
I'm
Franco
doing
Walker.
good, thank you. Thank you, Franco. I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there.
Oh yeah,
Morphine
Franco
helps.
Walker.
I'm not
Yeah.
promoting drugs, kids, but when you're in pain, morphine does help, and it is legal.
Yes. So Franco Walker asks, "How are you, pop culture curator?" And he's okay, thanks to modern medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be right back. I got a knock.
Alrighty. Franco Walker says, "It's not even summer yet." Could have fooled me. It's 90 degrees in Texas. Or South Texas, anyway. I think.
31 degrees Celsius indoors in the north of England. That does sound. I wonder if the sun is shining or if it's like a humid,
And of
foggy
course,
London
oh yeah,
town.
that's almost 90 degrees, 87.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow, that was quick.
Mm. And Gorilla's random thought says he'll be lurking. All right, great.
Hey, Gorilla.
And hello to Dalek451. He says, "I joined those Quantum Leap streams from time to time, Pop."
He does. Dalek's awesome. He knows the episodes. It's great.
Yeah, he knows the episodes really well. He's watched them so many times. Me and my mom, says Franco Walker, stopped watching Quantum Leap during Series 3, I think.
Wantulum.
Thank you. Thank you, Gorilla. Fiona. Hello, Fiona.
Hey, Fiona.
She says, "Are we supposed to believe that someone doesn't get Quantum Leap? It's not rocket science, despite its name. I've never run into anybody who couldn't immediately grasp the concept."
What's going on, Fiona? You calling my daddy a dummy?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi soap drama. It's a lot of fun.
It's just
I don't
his
know what's so complicated
preference
about
on
it.
fiction.
Yeah, probably. Gorilla's random thought says Quantum Leap is so woke. Boycott it. Oh, you're not talking about the original series. You're talking about the recent one, right? I heard that it wasn't woke. It's just that it wasn't that great. Or some people say it was all right. I hear middling to not as good reviews.
I've heard it's
But
fine.
yeah, like it's okay. Like for modern television, it's pretty good. Franco Walker says, "I love morphine. I had it in the hospital after I got run over by a car." Whoa, you got run over by a car? That's terrible.
Oops.
Yeah. Hello, Bob.
Looking good.
Sorry, I didn't comb my hair. I apologize.
Yeah, you look fine. Darius Munchausen says, "Hail." Look, hail.
Hey, Darius.
Dalek says, "Yep, it's been hot here all week. 90 in East Texas, too," says Fiona M.
Well, as long as you're in AC,
And
it's fine, or a swimming pool.
oh my gosh, yeah. Air conditioning. I can't live without it.
I'm just nude all the time. Well, it balances out. Balances out.
Mm-hmm. Edge of Time says, "My feelings about this episode are disjointed. My thoughts foggy, unrelated." Oh my gosh.
Conversation was disjointed. His thoughts, a little foggy, unrelated.
Quantum Leap is not even quantum science. I can't argue with you there. They do touch on it a bit in the first episode, but that's the last time we've seen it. Matt G says, "Jill."
Hey, Matt.
They're president of the Anti-Derivative Jill fan club.
Yeah, subscribe to his newsletter.
Yep, good to see you, Matt.
Oh, Gorilla says, "Man in dress is woke." No, it's not.
How do you feel about Bugs Bunny in a dress?
See, that's the thing. Diversity in it of itself is never woke. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I don't want to get into that discussion on this live stream. We're talking about some good Star Trek today. And we're at a planet. We're checking out a scientific expedition. We're checking out to see how they're doing. Should be an easy, routine kind of place to get through. Oh, and some of the facts. So I'm going to read a bit from Star Trek 365 by Paula M. Block and Terry J. Erdman, as seen on the Star Trek TOS reviews on Clobber Times channel. Back when they covered TOS for their Saturday Night Star Trek. Currently, they're going through Deep Space Nine, and next month they will be starting Voyager. I can't wait. And so I'll read the summary that's in the book. Members of a scientific expedition based on Gamma Hydra 4 have been afflicted with a radiation-induced illness that triggers highly accelerated aging, and now members of the Enterprise landing party that beamed down to the planet are showing signs of the same malady. All that is except for Chekhov, who seems unafflicted, while Kirk, Spock, Scott, and McCoy grow older by the hour. As McCoy tries to unravel the riddle behind Chekhov's immunity, the increasingly forgetful Kirk is judged unfit to maintain command of the Enterprise, but Commodore Stalker, who takes Kirk's place, has never commanded a starship, a fact made painfully obvious by his decision to cut across the Romulan territory, neutral zone, on the way to Starbase 10. No, that's not Romulan territory. The Deadly Years was this episode first aired on December 8th, 1967, and the episode was written by David P. Harmon, and it said in the notes on Memory Alpha that Gino Kuhn also did some work on the script. And it was directed by Joseph Pevney, another one of the recurring Star Trek directors that keeps happening. So I guess by now we have a bunch of directors who love to work on Star Trek, and they keep doing it.
I wonder, in terms of just television production in the 1960s and as it is today, I guess I'm not wondering, just sort of positing out loud that you have a stable of directors that return once they know the crew, they know the time frames, directors that are more comfortable working with special effects.
Yeah, that's what seems to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Let me start. I haven't started my chat. I'll start right here. And so they're wondering where everyone is. Robert Johnson, the leader of the expedition, seemed...
Conversation was disjointed. His thoughts, a little foggy, unrelated.
Did that play the whole thing?
Yeah. He's not talking about our president, right? Sorry.
Oh, excuse me. I got to sneeze.
And Robert Johnson, also famously a blues guitarist. Which was fun. There are two famous names. There's Robert Johnson and then one of the actors, the one who plays Jan, is Sarah Marshall. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So yeah, Chekhov wanders into this place, this interior with the lights off and no one there except for this mummified man.
I like the makeup. I'm a big makeup fan, and I'm glad they spend a lot of time and budget on it.
Well, there is something about that. There was beef between Bob Justman and Shatner during this episode.
I know Shatner didn't want to look too old. And he didn't like them making his hair look like it was thinning in the front, like it really was in real life.
Well, and also there apparently was a shooting that was supposed to be done, and Bill had to go into makeup for 3 hours or something like that, and then they said, no, we're not actually shooting today, and so Bill was like, I'm gonna knock you on your damn ass, so while Robert
I do have that. I'm
Justin's,
sorry, I was going to say I have that clip. I can play it now, or I can play it at the end.
Play it now. Let's go for it.
Okay. These are the little scratched copy 16mm bloopers from Star Trek, and these are I think there's 3 pieces from this particular episode. So bear with me, guys.
Well, Chekhov was extremely terrified. He had a flight or fight response, and he flew.
It was gone. He put things in our bodies. But he just screamed at the old man.
Listen, son, I told you wanted the show business. You got it. Have to stay here after hours, be on golden hours, and holy Mac. Bob, don't cut.
Don't cut.
Bob Justman, I'm going home now. I'm going to spend 3 hours on the makeup table putting this makeup back on. And it's your fault.
Perfect.
That's amazing. And I think it says here about that. It says in the world of Star Trek on page 73 that he got into that makeup all for nothing because the day of shooting was about to end.
Yes.
That was great.
Well, and it's funny when because what preceded that little actually it looks like a tongue-in-cheek tantrum, but before that they just showed like the guy who I didn't catch who it was, but just ripping off the makeup. And even in later shows, like I think Michael Dorn and Nana Visitor talked about, yep, you just want to rip it off at the end of the day, and that's a bad idea. Like Nana Visitor says she still has a scar from ripping off her nose. And from what I understand, Michael Dorn does sort of blame, and I may be telling tales out of school. I don't have the facts to back this up, but he sort of says, yeah, and you know how I'm bald? Thank the forehead. Thank the forehead.
Oh, did he rip it off too without help?
I don't know about ripping it off without help, but when he was on the Shuttlepod show with Connor Trenier and Malcolm Reed, sorry to mix and match my fictional characters and actors, he said, oh yeah, no, there's obvious damages that you have, and he just sort of gestures to himself, and that's where I'm making the supposition.
So he has scars or something?
And he's also a bald man, so maybe the continuing application of the prosthetic could have contributed to that.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, that would be interesting to contact all of the Klingons and ask them how their hair is.
Well, I know Robert O'Reilly is a balding man as well. Let me think. How many Klingons have I seen out of makeup?
Well, I doubt the wig was glued to their head. I'm sure it was just worn like a hat.
Well, I know that there was, and not to go off on a Michael Dorn tangent, but I know that a lot of whenever he comes back to play Worf, one of the main things that is part of his contract negotiation is less time in the makeup chair.
That makes sense. Well, then they could do that too because that show was shot in the pitch black. And I say, okay, so they meet this old couple who look old enough to be near death, but they're in their 20s, and they're the leaders of the expedition.
I wonder what they were doing on this planet.
They were doing science.
That makes sense. Yes.
I think, is that all we know about their expedition? Possibly they were looking into the comet that nobody had ever really studied before, and maybe they knew it was coming But they didn't know what effects it was going to have.
Hey, Mark Harkness is here. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark Harkness.
Lemon.
Hello,
Gamma
Lemon Pie.
Hydra 4.
Oh, it's not Gamma Hydrant 2?
No. Doesn't matter. Damn fool questions. Ask me anything. But this also is interesting because we are in the Gamma Hydra system, and it is close to the neutral zone, which seems to be some sort of future reference. We don't get reference to this until Star Trek II, but Gamma Hydra Section 10 is where the Kobayashi Maru hit the gravitic mine.
Oh, neat.
However,
That's great.
in the Kobayashi Maru, it was the Klingon neutral zone. So in the subsequent years, there could have been some sort of power struggle between the Romulans and the Klingons.
So the lines have shifted over the years.
Galactic borders.
But we can't really talk to Robert anymore. He's gone completely senile. So in the briefing room, we meet Commodore Stalker and Dr. Wallace, an expert in endocrinology, which is the study of hormones and how they send messages chemically to regulate growth, development, puberty, level of alertness, sugar regulation, and appetite, bone growth, and other stuff.
And I'm assuming that the Enterprise would have stopped off at Starbase 10 to pick up Commodore Stalker and Dr. Wallace.
No, I don't think so, because that's where they're headed. They're headed to Starbase 10 so that he could pick up his new command, right? He's got a new assignment there.
Oh, okay.
Where did they get them from? That is a good question. I don't know where they were.
Probably the same place that they got the Federation Assistant Commissioner. Just something that happened in between missions.
And neither McCoy or Spock have been able to discover anything, but Spock does give us our word of the day. Inimical. And I don't really use this word much, but it means something that is harmful or causes injury.
Huh.
So they're even going to check out the Romulans since they're close to the neutral zone, see out whether the Romulans could be the cause of this illness. And of course, Dr. Wallace hangs back after the meeting for some non-professional business.
That's a weird.
Edge of Time says this episode gets right to the inciting incident. And Fiona says a quantum leap would be a very, very, very tiny jump. It's funny how the expression has evolved in common language.
That makes sense.
It's true. Darius Munchausen says, I would still call Quantum Leap science fiction, even though the science is totally bunk. Well, that's why we call it science fantasy. It relies on a fictional scientific breakthrough, as opposed to fantasy where magic just exists. Well, but there is some magic in Quantum Leap. There's a
higher power.
Yeah, the higher power.
Seems to be guiding Sam around.
Right.
But it is a science fiction premise, and we move from there, which is something that I'm okay with.
I guess officially.
Once my suspension of disbelief has been established, it's fine. Doesn't bother me.
Starfleet's shortest ensign? Yeah, I did notice how short she was.
Yes, Lieutenant Galway could not ride a roller coaster.
I don't know. Maybe Spock is just really tall, comparatively.
She was in the background.
Right. She'd probably... I tried to look up. Honestly, I did look up her height. I wanted to see if she was my size and to see how tall she was, but I couldn't find it.
I thought it was odd they didn't go out of their way to accentuate her looks. They usually do that with women on this show, but not so much with her.
With Galway?
Right,
or
the little
with
short one?
Wallace. Yeah, with Galway. Mhm.
Well, and apparently in the original story, it was going to be Uhura who beamed down, but Gene Roddenberry said no because it'll make Uhura look unattractive.
We can't have that. Not when you got to go home at night with her.
Oh, were they together at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was with her and Major Barrett.
Yes. At this point, Gene was still advocating for an open relationship.
Yep. According to Nichelle Nichols, so that I guess you could take that as canon.
And also according to Susan Sackett, one of Gene's other.
Oh, that's
paramours.
later. That's much later.
Still, secrets are told when you're having pillow talk.
Girl's Random Thought says it's the Russian vodka. It keeps you young. Oh, why Chekhov was okay?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That wouldn't explain Scotty then. He's got plenty of liquor. The AI show says it's usual on TV. You have some directors who cycle through shows.
Mm-hmm. Within studios, and yeah, makes sense.
Darius says
in fact, there's some directors I think who worked on Lost in Space who also worked on Star Trek.
Oh, nice. Darius Munchausen says Robert Johnson, the inventor of rock and roll.
That's right. That's why he's so old in the 23rd century.
Darius also says Scotty went down to the crossroads to sell his soul to the devil for a box of wine and met Robert Johnson.
It's true. And he just gave me this ukulele.
Fiona says Joseph Pevney and Mark Daniels directed about 15 episodes each. Most only did 1 or 2, though a few did 7.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks, Fiona.
And Barry Gibb blames his beard for making his face sag, not understanding that it was the intervening 40 years of age rather than the beard being the likely culprit.
I can't imagine saying to myself, you know what this is? It's because my beard is too heavy.
To baldly go where no Klingon has gone before.
Oh, yeah, and Christopher Plummer kept his hair somewhat.
Fiona says Brent Spiner mentioned that he had a lot of skin problems from the data makeup. And Gary Lockwood had
corneal scarring.
I have there was a smudge on my laptop, so I couldn't read the word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
corneal
that was those,
scarring.
Yeah, that was those metallic contact lenses that they had to rush together. If you remember when we covered that episode where No Man Has Gone Before, they had to have those made over a weekend.
Those silver contacts.
Yes. Sally Kellerman didn't ever mention, so I guess she didn't have as much of an issue.
Being in Star Trek seems a bit dangerous, even without the red shirt. That's true, but even more dangerous is being the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz and all that asbestos and stuff like that.
Hey.
Scotty, could you read this from Fiona?
Yeah, Fiona says the constellation Hydra is most closely associated with the legend of the second labor of Heracles, which may echo a Babylonian legend in which the hero Gilgamesh killed a 7-headed monster. Hydra, cut off one head and 2 shall take its place.
Yes, and that's some cool background for the name of our planet today.
Mm-hmm.
Hello to Miss Susie.
Hey, Susie.
Inimitable, being adverse, often by reason of hostility or malevolence, says Darius Munchausen. And Fiona says Hydra is the largest of the 88 modern constellations, comprising of 17 main stars, 13 planets, 13 with planets. 13 of those stars have planets, and 277 stars discovered within the boundary.
Nice.
Cool. And hello to Brian. Oops, sorry.
Hey, Sport.
I'll cut that out in post. Hello to SP4H.
Hello there. Good to see you.
And
Hello.
Miss Susie.
And Miss Susie says, from my understanding, he was with them both.
Yes.
At the same time, yes.
Well, maybe not at the same time.
Well, he did. He drove over. From the book, or from Nichelle Nichols, she said that him and her were talking about what we were prior. Gene Roddenberry and Nichelle Nichols were driving in the car, his Rolls Royce. He always went around in his Rolls Royce, and he said, "I want to take you in to introduce you to someone." And they pulled up to a house. They knocked on the door, and Major Laird answered, Major Laird answered the door, and then that's when Nichelle Nichols said, "No, not into that."
Well, and according to her book, I think it was Majel Barrett's devotion to Gene that was part of the reason why she broke it off, because Gene wanted to be part of an open relationship, and she said no. She wanted to be true to her friend's emotions. So,
yep. Which I admire her for.
Lemon Pie says, long time no see, Susie. I'm okay. How are you? And Gorilla says, Scotty doesn't drink Russian vodka. He drinks scotch. Big difference.
True.
So, yeah, I do realize that there were different liquors,
right.
But I figured that Scotty would drink a variety of different liquor. I don't know.
Right, and we can trust Gorilla. Take it from the expert.
Right, of course. Miss Susie says, I'm good, Lemon Pie. Work has my schedule crazy. I haven't been as late. It's good to see you. And, oh, wow, Fiona knows Beverly Washburn was 5'5". Must have been a camera angle thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's possible.
I'm shorter.
Well,
Mama Prey is what, 4'10", I think she said.
Well, and later on in the episode, when Lieutenant Galway's walking around, she doesn't have the boots on either. She's wearing slippers as her age advances. So maybe the heels on the boots not being as present made her look a little bit.
Wait, does she has boots on the planet though, right?
Yes, but I would take that again, as Fiona said, in terms of a camera angle thing. Her being in the background made her look a little bit shorter. Would be my assumption.
Maybe she had boots on the planet, but then on the ship, when she starts aging, they take off her boots and I didn't even know she had slippers. So this is a great discovery by you. Maybe they take off her boots to make her look smaller. Also,
well, and they also started to make them look older. They started making their costumes a little bit bigger, oversized, to make them look baggy, like they were shrinking.
Yeah, I think I did notice that. That makes sense.
Which literally happened to DeForest Kelley when he was sick. In the very end there, Star Trek 6. I mean, it looked like he was skin and bones in that uniform.
True.
I don't want to say outfit.
Okay, so Dr. Wallace says that she and Kirk used to be together 6 years, 4 months, and an odd number of days ago. And so it didn't work out. And it still wouldn't work.
She has her career, and Jim has his ship.
And Spock has his analysis of the planet. A comet passed by that no one studied before. And we begin our harassment by Commodore Stalker to head to Starbase 10.
I don't want to say harassment. I had a sour memory of Commodore Stalker, and as I rewatched this, I think I watched it 2 or 3 times over the last little while, and Commodore Stalker is actually quite reasonable until he takes the center seat.
He is at first, right? He just wants to get to his post, and I say harassment, but he does get tenacious about it eventually.
Well, he gets tenacious about it because he feels that it would be better resolved at a starbase because he thinks that the facilities would be superior.
Mm-hmm. And that comes to a good conclusion at the end. I got a clip of that. And so at the top of the scene, Kirk orders Sulu to maintain the standard orbit, and he repeats this at the end of the scene. So Sulu reminds him he's already given that command, so the beginning of the short-term memory loss has started. And I said that twice.
I'll follow it.
Also. Lieutenant Galway is having trouble hearing. And this is the start of some subtle makeup work here where it's evident they added some coloring on her face.
Mm-hmm.
To show early in this episode, she's the one who ages the fastest out of all of the landing party. And Kirk calls Spock from his room without his shirt on to ask about the comet, but he doesn't remember he already talked to Spock about the comet. So, and Spock's already investigating it.
Oh, that bad back.
Right. Yeah, there's the other sign. His back is starting to hurt.
McCoy's getting irritable.
And his hair's going gray. And Kirk's got arthritis. Yeah.
Oh, poor Scotty.
I know. Scotty is aging pretty quick, too.
Yeah, well, he got it worse than the rest of them, it looks like.
I always thought Scotty was the oldest.
I thought McCoy was.
I thought so, too. I thought McCoy was
in real life, in real life, I think, well, I know, we all know DeForest Kelly was the oldest out of all of them. But I always thought that McCoy was also the oldest character out of the bunch.
Me too.
Let's see.
But about this, the book says, if you think old age is a pain, you should try old age makeup. The deadly years forced key actors to spend from 3 to 6 hours in the makeup trailer each day. Some, like easygoing DeForest Kelly, simply accepted that this particular episode would require him to spend more time sitting than acting. William Shatner, like others, would bear the challenge like a trooper, but find himself understandably frustrated when, after suffering through 3 boring hours of carefully applied latex sags, penciled age lines, and a special hairpiece, he arrived on the set to be told that production was closing down for the day.
Yep.
That moment was captured for posterity on one of Star Trek's infamous blooper reels. Thank you, Pop Culture Curator, for showing us that one.
Mm-hmm.
My pleasure.
Humorous outtakes that the producers would string together to run at each session's wrap party. Gene Roddenberry later brought the reels to numerous Star Trek conventions. Oh, that would have been so fun to go to a Star Trek convention with Gene Roddenberry playing a reel for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I never saw Gene Roddenberry show them. It was always Majel Barrett.
Oh, well, that would be good too. I would love for Majel Barrett to play me some movies. When I went to the 50th Star Trek convention, they just have like the YouTube clip or whatever they play.
Yeah, it was fascinating. It was a big convention hall, and it had the booth in the back, and a guy with the projector. She would actually walk up to him with the films in her hands. And what I thought was fascinating is, and which I did, I'm glad I took the step. But I thought, well, I'm gonna go back there and talk to her, and I did. She actually answered a few questions while she was standing next to the projector. You wouldn't see that anymore.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm so jealous. The makeup looked fairly realistic for its time, but it's interesting to note that the actors aged far more gracefully over the years than their Trek alter egos did in the deadly years.
Yes.
And could you play that blooper just one more time since we're talking about it here?
Be right back. I got a visitor.
Oh, darn.
Don't forget to ask about the concession stand.
I want to see that again.
We'll get to it. We'll see it. We'll see it.
Okay. Remind me if I don't.
But yeah, and then with the makeup effects on McCoy, I think that when he shows up in Encounter at Farpoint, they modeled the old age makeup after the deadly years, and they do look fairly similar.
I don't know. I think they did better here.
Really? Okay. Hey,
and hello to Dadman Walking. Euler Greg. Hello to Euler Greg. And James Caserta, who says, notice how quick she is to throw Kirk under a bus?
Who?
Who threw Kirk under the bus?
Please elaborate, James.
Fiona says to Franco Walker, yeah, of course, but that's how these stars got their names. Every soul-centric. The diversity police will get to star names eventually. And Gorilla says, well, off to the liquor store. I'll be in and out of the chat. Hey.
We look forward to your return.
Awesome. Ari Bavel says, Stalker just wants to get out of that red shirt before he winds up dead. You would think being Commodore would save you from the red shirt syndrome.
I don't know. I've never had to face that problem. I'm a Scotty. I can wear red without fear.
And Fiona says, and she's right, it's not that subtle. She looks pretty scary there. Ree Galway. Yeah, she does. You're right.
Hey, Classic Comics.
Mm-hmm. Hello,
Who
Classic
says
Comics.
More irascible, you mean? Yeah. I don't know. I find Dr. McCoy charming.
Yeah, he has an attitude. Berta Prey 5 says, Mama Prey was 4'10" and a half at her tallest. Presumably less these days.
Hey, Berta
Oh,
Prey.
that's much different than 5'10". I think it was reported that it was 5'10". 4'10" is correct. That is legally a short person.
Legally and physically.
Well, I know because I'm short. I'm 5'1", but I'm not legally a short person. I'm too tall.
Do you have to keep the bricks that you wear on your feet to touch the gas pedals in the car all the time?
No, these days they have adjustable seats.
Oh, that's good news then. Good.
Fiona says Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are about 5'10". Weird because Spock always seemed much taller to me. He does feel taller.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I can't believe they're all the same height.
I'm curious if that's a matter of costuming and heels and the lifts in shoes kind of thing.
Maybe. Classic Comics says Shatner complaining about hair pieces is kind of hilarious.
I don't know. I'm foolishly one of the people who defends William Shatner's hair. So that's your jam.
The AI show says, I have my views on Bill and his behavior on Star Trek, but he was right to get mad about the makeup. That was a screw you move to him and rather rude.
Yeah. But also, let's not forget he was getting paid.
And Bird Prey 5 responds to Fiona, No, she adjusted the seat just enough so she could see over the wheel, but not too far from the pedals. And no, I crank up the seat all the way. You can crank it up and down, and
Mhm.
I just go up to the maximum setting. So I'm very tall. I get to be a tall person in the car
Oh,
because of that. You just fake it. The adjustments work great. DeForest always struck me as a bit of a laid back person.
in interviews, he seems that way. Yeah.
DeForest Kelly was in a lot of westerns, mostly crazy bad guys, not laid back. Yeah, so that's exactly Ariba Bell, the roles he played, because when he was growing up, he wanted to be a cowboy. And Fiona says, I had a friend who was 4'10.5", and even with the seat all the way forward, she couldn't reach the pedals in her Toyota. Wow. That extra 3 inches means a whole lot. Jill can ride most rides at the amusement park. No, I can ride them all. I've never encountered a ride I couldn't ride.
That's good news.
Vulcan stand tall, says James Caserta. And hello to Cam Cam. I haven't seen you in a while, Cam Cam.
Hey, Cam Cam.
Hope you're doing all right. The AI show says, as an individual outside of roles, I found DeForest laid back, says the AI show.
Yeah.
Lemon Pie. Lemon Pie says, I'm 4'2", but a master of optical illusions, so people think I am 6 feet tall. Wow. It's all about how you carry yourself, I suppose.
Poise counts. Yes.
Franco Walker says that he's 5'5". And activate. Oh, what is that? What is that?
Chipmunk mode.
Oh, he's listening to me at 1.5 or 2 times speed.
Yes. Ooh, ee, ooh, bing, bang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
I absolutely sound like a chipmunk if you speed me up, so I'd never recommend it, but I can't stop you. I do know how people want to catch up in the live stream. I do that too. And for everybody's getting old. This episode's very simple, so I don't actually have a ton of notes that can fill out this episode too much.
I do like how Chekhov is using the old foot pump machine.
Yes, he has to do several physicals throughout this episode because they test him over and over and over again, as we'll see soon. Approximately 30 years for each day is how quickly they are aging, says McCoy, and that their mental capacity is going even faster than that, according to Spock. They'll all be completely dead in less than a week and senile even sooner.
Total senility. Yes, total senility, Jim.
And we find out elderly Vulcans think things are much too cold.
And considering the temperature of Vulcan.
Yeah, that's true. They're reverting back to the comfort of their home planet. And Spock is perfectly healthy for a normal Vulcan on the high side of 100. We get to see everyone get old. Well, not everyone, just the people who were on the landing party, except for Chekhov. So that's the idea, is they're trying to figure out why Chekhov is the exception. Lieutenant Galway's afraid to sleep. She's afraid of what she'll become when she wakes up.
Mm-hmm. And the little scarf that she has going on.
Yeah.
Or shawl.
Stupid place to hang a mirror.
Now, this is a famous mirror. I forget what episode it was. I think it might have been Enemy Within. But we were talking about having the mirror, and she does say that's a stupid place to hang a mirror. It's not in the same place, but this mirror has appeared before in sickbay, so it's not brand new and just arbitrarily put here for, well, it is arbitrarily put here, but it has shown up in sickbay before.
Well, now it's famous.
Now it's famous.
So we keep testing Chekhov, and it won't hurt much. Dr. Wallace tries to come up with some carbohydrate compounds that slow down the aging of plants, but Dr. Wallace, that's plants, not people. So that never comes of anything, but at least she tried.
And apparently, Jan is attracted to the elder gentleman's.
Yes, her husband was 26 years older than she was, but she says that's because they were alone on the outpost. They were lonely together working.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't want to talk about him. She wants to talk about Captain Kirk.
Well, and isn't that where Jim says, yeah, what do you want to see? What are you trying to do? Do you want to rekindle, or do you want to give me a going away present? There it is. Yeah. Love or a going away present? Harsh, Jim.
It is, but he's going through kind of a bit of a terrifying experience himself, so I guess he doesn't want to deal with the drama of past love while he's having to deal with all this other stuff that's going on in his body.
Makes sense.
So shot down.
Oh, this is great. I love Walter Koenig in this.
Because he didn't shoot her down at the beginning. He kind of gave her a look earlier when he didn't realize he was aging yet. So there was like some potential for romance at the beginning, and she only gets shot down now that he's going through all of it.
I think his rationale earlier in the episode is, well, nothing's changed if we picked up where we were before. You still have your work. I still have my ship. Nothing's going to be different.
Yes, but he does give her a nice look, though.
Yes, he's less acerbic. Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I like this.
Some more blood, Chekhov. A needle won't hurt, Chekhov. Take off your shirt, Chekhov. Roll over, Chekhov. Breathe deeply, Chekhov. Blood sample, Chekhov. Marrow sample, Chekhov. Skin sample, Chekhov. If I live long enough, I'm going to run out of samples.
You'll live.
Oh, yes, I'll live. But I won't enjoy it.
Which is great.
Yeah, blood samples. I've been given plenty of those lately.
Great timing, pop culture creator.
Well, and in the background, chuckling at Chekhov's plight is our boy, Mr. Leslie, Eddie Paskey.
Yeah, that was a great line. Chekhov had a good moment there.
Oh, yes, I'll live, but I won't enjoy it. It always sounds so sinister when I do a Chekhov accent. It's always a Russian villain that I do. I can't do it.
So you've got to be a little lighter?
I guess. Yeah, I'll work on it.
Yeah. Lemon Pie says, either that or I'm 6 feet tall. And make people think I'm 4'2". Can't remember which.
I used to date a girl who said that I only dated her because I was like taller than her. And it's like, the only reason you're with me is just like because it makes you seem taller by comparison. So
Fiona says, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
Are you?
Yes.
And talk more about short women?
No, not yet. Later.
Okay. Fiona M says, I thought they did an amazing job acting as their older selves. That's probably harder than it looks. You're right. They did. They talked slower. They looked like they were in pain. You're right. They really did. Cam's Crash Courses says, I'm okay, thanks. Still growing through some stuff. So haven't been around as much. It's good to see you all, though.
good to see you, Cam.
Yeah, I'm always happy when you check in.
Hello, Cam. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, sir.
And James Caserta says, for my weight, I should be 15 feet tall. It's all about stature.
How would you get through doors? Ceiling fans would be your greatest fear.
He would have to crawl.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
No. Or ride in a wheelchair? Fiona says, I would check for vodka-based immunity first thing. I knew this was gonna. Okay, I should have known better. Gorilla says that extra 3 inches means a lot, Jill. I'm clipping that out of context too. Okay, thank you, Gorilla. Darius says a box of wine a day keeps the doctor away. And
a box?
A whole box.
What are you talking about? I'm not a hobo. I don't have boxed wine. Nor am I a lady who's watching Murder, She Wrote. No boxed wine in this house.
I haven't bought boxed wine since college.
And the only reason I did buy boxed wine is because when you're done with the box of wine, you throw away the cardboard and you inflate the little bag inside, and it makes a lovely pillow.
I never could do wine. My stomach and wine do not mix.
More for me.
It seemed bitter.
The other thing I would buy in college was a giant gallon of rose wine. The pink
Oh,
wine.
no.
Sangria is delicious, I guess.
Fiona says, wasn't that Mirror and Mirror, Mirror? And Lemon got there too.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Great minds. James Caserta says, I'm not too fat, just too short.
You're practically perfect in every way, James.
I think there are a lot of us who could say that. Mark Harkness says, old men on the edge of death. She's got a type.
Indeed.
Apparently. Fiona says, well, wait, Scotty, please read this one.
You like older dudes, eh?
Yeah, I knew you'd do that one better. Classic Comics says, any port in a storm. You know Kirk is senile to turn her down, says Fiona.
I think he just doesn't want to have to deal with the baggage. He left her once.
Mm-hmm. Franco says Chekhov is awesome in this episode. Agreed. And Fiona says, when I was little, I would get this episode and The Naked Time mixed up.
Huh. Well, and this is another one of those episodes, speaking of Chekhov and Eddie Paskey as Mr. Leslie. This is another one that I was mistakenly being like, yeah, we got all hands on deck because Christine's here. But no John Winston as Mr. Kyle. So it's not quite. I'm still crossing my fingers and hoping for an all hands on deck episode.
What do you really need Mr. Kyle to make a whole crew?
You know, and technically it is just the original 7, but as we've been going through these episodes, I like seeing the ones, because until Pop pointed him out, I always knew about Mr. Leslie, but I didn't realize he was so prevalent throughout the series. And so now that I know, that's why I celebrate Eddie Paskey's appearances. Now, and then when Mr. Kyle shows up, I'm just like, okay, we got everybody. So I'm looking forward to that. If it happens, I don't even know. I could be disappointed.
Wow. I hope you're not. I hope it happens. I wish I could remember enough to tell you, but I'm learning as I go. Cam says, good to see you too. Been keeping a thought for you.
Thank you, Cam.
Yes, and he's saying that to Pop Culture Curator. Boxed wine stacks better. That's about it, says Dave G. Sound.
Hey, Dave G. And
if you're storing it at home, I guess.
You're absolutely correct.
Lemon Pie says, Scotty, don't. Go ahead.
You go. I like it better when you yell.
Scotty, don't cast aspersions on my daily habit of consuming box.
Consuming a box of wine and watching Murder, She Wrote.
Darius says, I distinctly remember Scotty art. Actually, I saw my first episode of TJ Hooker the other day.
Nice.
And would you
So
think
many
of-
Star Trek people.
I thought it was fun.
That's when he was in full wig mode, his really thick hair.
Mhm.
But he did a lot of his own stunts, so that's what made that show special.
Yes, and was he taking off the case every episode, but just worked it anyway?
Not every episode, no.
Oh, okay, good.
Right, not every
This one was
And
very specific because Heather Locklear had been shot by a perp.
right, which
Right, she was in a
Leonard
coma.
Nimoy. You'll see Leonard Nimoy pop up in an episode.
Oh, neat. Darius says, I distinctly remember Scotty R37 drinking a box of wine once, and I'll never let it go.
Darius, I think you have me mistaken with someone else. I don't think I've ever had boxed wine.
Yeah.
Not on this continent.
Who had it then?
I don't know.
Who is Darius remembering?
I'm not sure.
It's a
Anyway,
mystery.
I only joke. If you wish to dream of me drinking boxed wine,
You did have a weird bottle of wine one time, though.
Yeah.
Oh, right. It was laced with THC, wasn't it? Or no, that was Canadian Spider-Man.
There you go. Yeah. Maybe it was Canadian Spider-Man who had the
That's interesting. I never heard of that.
Yeah, you could be getting your Canadians mixed up. Gorilla's Random Thought says, I haven't bought boxed wine since it was my turn to bring the wine to a family get-together.
which makes sense. There's more wine in the boxes. Well, now I have a hankering for boxed wine, and I'm gonna have to watch some Jessica Fletcher.
Lemon Pie says, Scotty, don't cast aspersions on my daily habit of consuming a box of wine and watching Murder, She Wrote. Oh, that one. Okay, so now I know why you added that a minute.
Yes, I was
end.
leaping ahead. I was quantum leaping ahead.
The AI show says, I guess the point of this live stream is we will sell no boxed wine before it's time. This reminds me of the days of waiting for my official Star Trek fan magazine in the mail at the end of the month, says James Caserta. Wow, that's cool. We all had that hair color, space blonde. And so the memory loss amps up in this scene. He asks Sulu to increase the orbit to 20,000 perigee. And he signs a full fuel consumption report. And for the third time in this episode, Commodore Stucker asks to go to Starbase 10. Kirk says he'll send a message about it, but Spock says he already did that. So, more memory loss. And Kirk falls asleep in the captain's chair.
Speaking of boxed wine.
And Spock finds out that the planet went through the comet's tail, which inflicted the population with a low range of radiation that he missed before.
Well, and I suppose if it wasn't something that you were necessarily looking for, then it would be an interesting detail, but not necessarily one that had to be noted immediately.
Right. And then we have another issue where Kirk tries to send a message using code 2. But the Romulans have already broken code 2, says Uhura. So there's that mistake, which pays off later.
Mm-hmm.
And here in this scene, Spock is getting so cold that he has to have his room temperature set to 125 degrees.
And I do like that McCoy's still a little bit like he's still being acerbic, he's being sarcastic, but he's still it's friendly. Well, I see I'm not going to be making any house calls on you.
Right, and he does sound a little more southern.
Yes, his drawl, his twang does shine through as
Amazing.
he gets older. Same thing in Encounter at Farpoint, though. He does have that as well.
Counter at Farpoint. Also, This Side of Paradise.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I think to make it look better, I think to make it look better here than it did Encounter at Farpoint.
Yes, agreed. And also, I have this.
I'm not a magician, Spock, just an old country doctor.
Oh, wait, that's a good question.
Wait, what's a good question?
What is that tin foil?
I don't know.
Obelisk.
He was going to tell me.
We'll never know. Perhaps it's to measure the ambient radiation.
Hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. You're right. I was supposed to come back and try to figure out what that is, and I never got around to it.
I have ideas, but none that I could mention.
Okay, well then don't mention them.
I will not.
And Commodore Stalker noticed all the issues on the bridge, which there were multiple, so he's decided that he needs to take command away from Kirk due to the lack of a working short-term memory.
Well, and also, this is Commodore Stalker being like just fanboying all over. Like he says that some of the most valuable members of all of Starfleet, and I have an incredible amount of respect. I don't want to do this, but come on, can you take over? And Spock is like, no, I'm not going to take over. And whether or not that is his logic or his loyalty to Kirk, I'm not 100% sure.
I don't understand it either.
Bit of both, but then it falls right into what Commodore Stalker is saying and says, well, if Captain Kirk is not able to repel the effects of this radiation with your Vulcan physique and you cannot, then he surely must be unfit for command. I don't want to do this. And he even says something that I thought was really sort of sympathetic. He's like, I am not going to quote a regulation to you that you know so well. And so, like, this is, I think Commodore Stalker does end up to be, like, he turns out to be a little bit of a milquetoast, but, or at least in a command position, especially during battle, but he's not one of the stereotypically bad admirals or bad commodores from the higher ups of
No,
Starfleet.
he's not trying to do anything malicious. He's just saying these are the rules and I've got to follow these rules according to them.
Yeah.
Kirk cannot command. But you could. He even sees that Spock is still competent enough to do it. And I don't understand why Spock refuses to do it. I understand that he's going through the affliction too. And by Vulcan standards, he feels like he's completely gone. But by human standards, he's perfectly fine. He should totally be in charge of he should be in command, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. And again, I think that's why I'm not 100% sure whether or not it's his diminished mental capacities or if it is his loyalty to Captain Kirk.
He definitely doesn't want to have the hearing. That's definitely the feeling I get.
Well, and I do like that at this point in the episode, it's not necessarily, there is sort of a lingering, like in the background. It's like, oh, the Romulans are near. We're near the Romulan neutral zone. But there's no real external threat aside from the affliction, the aging affliction.
Right, the aging and Kirk losing his command are
his marbles
conflicts. I'm just gonna mute Pop Culture until he returns. He knows how to unmute himself.
Oh, here I am.
Oh, okay. Welcome back.
Sorry about that. You got a phone call.
Okay. It was just a lot of scuffling. I was getting distracted. And
Galway is dead.
Well, oh, do you have this blooper before?
Oh, that's right. There was a blooper for this scene, and no, I didn't cut it. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I forgot. That's right, because she starts laughing.
Yeah,
Oh.
so there was an outtake. And she says, I
Forgot
feel
my
like,
mind.
well,
Right,
she says, I feel like hell. But I want to see it. Oh,
I'm sorry, Jill.
that's okay. You had one of them. And that was the most important one. You had the more important one.
Well, and this is, I wonder if, well, no, I don't wonder if it was a blooper, and that's why they cut it. But if she said hell, I wonder if that's a thing, using it as a descriptive as opposed to an actual location.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a blooper. It was an outtake, so it didn't matter as far as censors are concerned.
No, but sometimes when actors do improvise and they say something, but then it does end up being taken out either through, say, the line is written or it just didn't work for the scene. But in this case, seeing as that we've been wrestling with belly buttons for so long and television censors, I just wondered if it was something like that.
Okay, so is this it? I don't know if this is it, but it's her. So
Let's give it a go.
I'm gonna try it.
This is Galway's Time to Shine.
Yeah.
Oh, that sound is not on.
Can I speak to you for a moment, please?
Of course.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I know this is going to sound foolish, but I feel like hell. I forgot my
There we go.
Jim. I'm fine.
There.
All
Nice.
right.
Oh,
Great. Thank you, Jill.
you're welcome. So that was earlier in the episode.
Yes.
It would have made sense here too, though. But she's dead.
Yeah. Punishments for forgetting lines is harsh.
And to think now, most of them just use teleprompters.
I think that's a disservice to modern actors.
It is. Well, I think it's a shame. I think
I
they
just don't-
should, if they use a teleprompter, I think their paycheck should be cut in half at least.
Well, I just disagree that it happens on a common occurrence.
Well, I know I've heard it happen several times, and when we were covering the Orville, the lady who played Kelly, there was one of the episodes where she said, "Yeah, there was a scene was tough. I actually had to learn my lines for that one." And I'm thinking, "Oh no, no, it's a very common occurrence, unfortunately, these days."
Just getting the slides back up, Jill?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Excuse me. Hold on just a moment.
Yes. Please stand by.
I think I closed them. Here we go. We're at the hearing. No one really wants to conduct this hearing. Except for Stalker.
I would say that pretty much everybody's in favor of this particular
Well,
hearing.
they agree with it. Logically,
Yes.
it makes sense, but nobody, it's uncomfortable, is what I mean.
Yes. Even to the point where Commodore Stalker stands up and says, "This is my fault. I'm sorry for putting you guys through this, but we got to follow the rules."
And then Spock says, "It's my responsibility as first officer." So. Oh, this is actually just a series of everything they just discuss everything we've already seen, all of the things he couldn't remember from before.
Mm-hmm.
Not remembering that he signed the fuel consumption report. and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and the severity of the handicap that that Captain Kirk is suffering from.
Yes, he can no longer competently command. It's really sad to see it, and you can read it on everyone's expression. Really well acted.
Well, and that I think that Bill does a great job with the presentation of I don't want to say senility, but definitely of losing one's faculties. But I
Yes,
guess
he does.
It is senility.
That's exactly what it is. It is. It's sudden senility.
See, even I'm feeling guilty about calling him senile.
Right, but yesterday he was 34, and today he's between 60 and 72. That's going to have an effect.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and for the record, I did look it up. DeForest Kelley and James Doohan were both born in 1920. So they are the same age, at least the actors are. I don't know about the characters.
Interesting.
No, that makes sense.
I do like how the computer can tell your age just by reading your physiology.
Mm-hmm. And the facts do have to be presented. And again, McCoy is like, I'm sorry, Jim. Scotty's asleep.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Scotty's asleep. I only have one clip of that, so I don't know. I think he's just looking down. I don't think
it's a possibility. I'm glad that in the remastered edition, they didn't CGI a mustache onto Scotty to show him what he looked like in older years.
That's the name of the planet wrong. All the mistakes from earlier.
Yeah, ask me anything. Yeah, ask me. Damn fool question.
They've heard enough, really.
Yeah. And here's what Pop was talking about in terms of the oversized uniforms.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're bigger. That is where I was noticing it too.
I'm surprised they didn't give him like a belly or something to show the slowing metabolism or whatever. Because Commodore Stalker certainly has a bit of a gut.
I don't know if William Shatner would have allowed that to happen. He's already touched about his hairpiece.
It would have made sense.
And it's fascinating too when you think about it in real life. William Shatner looks much better, like another visitor.
Yeah. Well, and
that's
considering
true.
his age now, yeah, he looks better than he does here. But he does have the gut, so there you go. Meanwhile, back in his quarters, Kirk is staring at his antique fruit bowl. We'll see this fruit bowl later on in Journey to Babel.
Really?
No, I don't know. I just figured because I brought up the mirror, I might as well bring up other forms of, set dressing.
Yeah, I knew you were joking, but I just wanted to make sure everybody else knew you were joking.
Great. Don't tell me about rank.
So let's see where we are in the chat. The AI show says to Fiona, Space Blonde sounds like 50s, a 50s bit movie produced by Roger Corman.
I would love to see Space Blonde. Actually, I think it's called Barbarella.
Barbarella?
Mm-hmm. Directed by Roger Vadim and starring Jane Fonda.
Space Blonde. All these movies. I got such a long list. Lemon Pie says Jill prefers a rhombus of wine. Ooh, I would drink from a rhombus.
That is not a thing I was expecting to hear anybody say today. I would like a rhombus of your finest brandy. I'm sorry.
Well, it would have to be a 3-dimensional rhombus.
Is a rhombus still a rhombus if it's 3 dimensions? I'm getting off track.
I don't want to drink from a rhombus. It's too sharp. It's too many hard edges. I prefer the cylinder.
Fair enough. I have a TARDIS coffee cup, and it's very difficult to drink from.
Right.
You got to haul from the corners.
Normally, I don't mention the filth on this show, but Mark Harkness says the falling asleep gets a pass. Star Trek Discovery was playing on the main viewer.
Nice. Space Blonde sounds like a Sybil Danning movie at the AI show. It does.
I got a cute little engineering notebook with graph paper that was Star Trek themed, and it was adorable. But the problem was, it's full of schematics for STD technology, tricorder, communicator.
Yeah, it's got a quote from Stamets in there. I don't like that.
Right. Oh yeah, I showed it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Fiona says he doesn't look old enough for an impromptu nap time. Yeah, I got it as a gift. I don't know who sent it.
Space dildo.
Oh, how did I miss that?
I thought you were avoiding it, and I just couldn't let it pass. Thank you, Uri. Bird of Prey has a good one too.
Hello, Bird of Prey. Good to see you, sir.
It's a vaginal tricorder, Mark II.
I think I missed something.
I did too. Don't worry.
There was an obelisk of tinfoil.
Oh,
that one. Oh, the Tower of Tinfoil. Okay.
Yeah. It kind of looks like a rocket, but it's just tinfoil. It's an obelisk of wine.
Oh, there we go. We got some G-rated answers. Thank you, Lemon.
Well, it's alcohol, so PG.
Okay, fair enough. Ha! She binded me with silence.
The AI show says, well, Spock said in Star Trek 2, I am a Vulcan. I have no ego to bruise. Spock was never ambitious for command as an officer. That's true.
But this would have been an AI show, I agree with you. But this would have been a temporary transfer of command. And so if Spock had just said, I will take command until this is over. But still, we are dealing with a Jim Kirk with less than, he's not firing on all thrusters.
And that's how Spock feels about himself. According to Mark Harkness, Spock does not know when he will get worse. And that makes sense. And also, if he's in command, he cannot directly aid the hunt for a cure. Which is another good point. He wanted to solve the mystery.
That is a really good point.
James Caserta says, pencil-necked bureaucrat, paper-pushing coward. Oh, Commodore Stalker?
I think that's a little harsh.
She forgets her one line. She has a one line. She got it. James Caserta.
Probably nervous.
Mm-hmm. I would be if I were on Star Trek.
Me too.
Get one line. But no, I would be repeating the line 100 times to myself, and then I get up there and what was it?
Right, mess it up as soon as you get up there and they say action, and then you forget your line.
Hey, Indy Tiger.
And Frankel Walker has a nap every afternoon these days. Ari Bavell says, I was in acting class with Jeff East, Superman, for a while. He said that Marlon Brando had his lines hidden on his little notepads all over the set.
That one I've heard about.
That's true about Marlon Brando, but who's Jeff East?
Apparently Superman.
I didn't know there was an actor who played Superman named Jeff East. It must be a Superman.
Or maybe it was just present Superman. Let's take a look and find out. I will do investigations.
Thank you.
Charles.
The AI show says actually Leonard Nimoy said in an interview that when he worked years before on Dragnet, they would have the actors do their lines off a teleprompter-like device. Not the norm for TV shows.
And Jeff East played the young Superman in Smallville during the opening sequence of Superman the movie from
Okay,
1978.
yeah. Nice. The one where the nose appliance looked like Christopher Reeve. Okay. Yeah. I saw him pop up at, I think, one other movie that I can remember. But yeah, he did a good job. That's very cool. A bit of information.
Yeah. Grilla's Random Thought says, how barbaric. Having people who make millions of dollars remember their lines.
Well,
that's some good sarcasm. Thank you.
It depends on the production, I suppose. But I still push back. I don't think that that's a common occurrence. I think it does happen, but I don't think it's as common as asserted.
James Caserta says, I have no idea how they remember all those lines.
You'd be surprised.
They usually go over them the night before the shooting day.
Well, I don't know how many actors do it like this, but I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he recorded himself talking and then played it back. And
yeah, and that was like even just high school productions, like plays I was in. I would sit around and run lines with co-stars or classmates who were in the show as well. And so it is a process. That's why you have rehearsals, and you start with reading the script, and then you go to off book, and then when it comes to showtime, hopefully you have them memorized. That's in theater, but when it comes to actual production, I think when you're like Marlon Brando, or if you're dealing with excessive amounts of technobabble, yeah, there might be crib notes, cue cards, and whatnot. But in terms of it being done so common that to paint a broad brush and say that modern actors use teleprompters, I'm just not 100%. But
Johnny Depp openly admits to it. Marlon Brando, Francis Ford Coppola said that he refused to memorize his lines for Apocalypse Now.
Well, I wouldn't say Apocalypse Now is a modern actor or a modern production.
No,
anyway,
it's Johnny Depp is.
And it would depend on the production if it was something else. And again, I think it has to do with clout that you would have as an actor. If you're getting paid more and you're showing up and there is, like, instead of line, or if it's a hugely blocked situation, if you have that privilege as the headliner of the movie. Don't forget, Marlon Brando and Johnny Depp, respectively, would have been the highest paid actors on that production. You can't have the production without them, or else Superman wouldn't have sold. And, well, until recently, Pirates of the Caribbean, if that's the production we're referring to, would have been sort of dead in the water, no pun intended.
And you get lots of lines anyway, so you got chances to learn them to learn those lines on the fly if you want to. But I think they should learn them, but if they don't, then they have a backup. Fiona says they wouldn't have been able to take enough food in that short amount of time to get a belly.
Good point.
That makes sense. Yeah, right, because they age so quickly. Isn't their lifespan already significantly extended by the 23rd century? So 70 shouldn't be that old. That's
well, and also, if they're aging 30 years a day as well, like I would assume that Kirk, McCoy, and Scotty probably are in their early 100s by the time the episode ends. Early to late, because McCoy's 137 years old in Encounter at Farpoint. That was his lifespan.
Hold on just a minute.
The AI show says Kirk didn't age that well here. He goes from ladies' man to loser man.
Okay. And Fiona says, hate to be that girl, but it's a rhomboid. Oh, is that what you call a three-dimensional rhombus? Okay.
I was curious. Thank you, Fiona.
Jill likes the challenge of drinking from a two-dimensional shape. Well, yeah, I guess it's not possible. I did change it, though, to a three-dimensional one. Mark Harkness says, the worst command grade officer in the entire original series is not Decker, not Stalker. It's Captain Ron Tracy.
It is Captain Ron Tracy. You're absolutely correct, Mark Harkness.
And I'm usually pretty good at my 3D shapes, but the rhombus and going to rhomboid didn't occur to me. Sorry. And apparently rhomboid is also a part of your body. So that's also makes it confusing.
Is it rhomboid or rheumatoid?
It's a rhomboid minor muscle.
Okay, because I was thinking of rheumatoid arthritis. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
My Coca-Cola can is bubbling excessively for no reason. I didn't shake it or anything. Indy Tiger says, well, at least one of Kirk's thrusters isn't firing in this episode. I was going to make a joke about impotence, but then I was like, by the 23rd century, they probably have that all figured out. Circulation and such.
I think so too.
Even now they have pumps, so yeah.
Indy Tiger Sci-Fi Review says, I don't think Stalker is a line officer. I think he's a service officer. No experience or training with ship command.
Yes.
Right. Fiona says, I still remember pages and pages of Shakespeare by heart from high school. I think that in TV they relied on short-term memorization scene by scene. Wow, that's amazing, Fiona. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you remember that they had to shoot an episode each week, so they didn't have a lot of time to memorize. So that's why I was saying that they would a lot of times memorize the lines the night before.
And Scotty, could you read this line of Shakespeare, please?
The AI show says to Fiona, cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. Like that?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Sweet.
Oh, right. The man's a chair-bound paper pusher.
I'm just comparing him to other, like, Ambassador Fox or Decker. Like, I understand Decker's post-traumatic stressing, but it is also he endangered a fully manned starship with his Ahab ways. Stalker seems like the most level-headed, even though when he is put under pressure, he does crumble. He folds like a prom dress.
Yes, exactly. That's where we see him fail. Obviously, it makes sense because he has no experience. What about Chekhov? Oh, so they're trying to figure out the issue.
And that's right about the time that makeup right here at this level of Kirk's age is when that blooper was shot. So this may have been the next day when he had to show up and put the makeup back on. And the same with Bones when he was saying, what? This is that stage of level of makeup, see?
Yes, and this is the part where they find out that I suppose Chekhov had just enough adrenal hormone to keep him from being afflicted by this illness.
Well, and also it shows the advances in 23rd century medicine because McCoy has to remember that in the post-atomic age, they used adrenaline for radiation sickness, but then it was synthesized into an artificial. I forget what it was called specifically, if it's in the...
Yeah, it's right here.
Yeah.
Hyrule.
And so going back to the ancient ways, ancient science. Sort of shows an interesting evolution of the medicine.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it makes sense that McCoy would remember something from a long time ago because when you get older, your long-term memory gets a lot better, while your short-term memory is what suffers. Which is why older people remember stories from a long time ago all the time.
Meanwhile, Christine and Jan and Spock are doing science. You can tell by the test tubes and computers.
Well, don't just stand there, Joe and Spock. You and Dr. Wallace get cracking.
And so they do.
The montage sequence.
It's so short. I like it though.
Oh yes, the direct course, Starbase 10. Let's just cut across the neutral zone. It'll be fine.
Don't go around or anything. Just cut right across. The Romulans will be totally fine with it.
I do love Uhura's response to this when Stalker says, "Here we go. Let me know if we contact any Romulans."
I do too.
Lieutenant Uhura, let me know if we contact any Romulan.
I think we just made contact, sir.
Romulans approaching from both sides.
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Like everybody on the bridge knows that they're being commanded by an idiot. That's great.
Guess
Or
it was like the neutral zone. What?
Yeah.
The fuck?
Even Chekhov sasses him.
Mm-hmm.
They've got us bracketed. Now, how were the remastered special effects? I watched the original with the repurposed special effects from Balance of Terror. Was the space battle dynamic?
Yeah, and I wouldn't know
it
because
was.
I wasn't able to see this last night, so I haven't seen the remastered until now.
Oh, I'll do a side-by-side comparison at the end. Or
Nice.
I could do it now, since that's really the only real special effects we see. Right, so I'll check it up. I will.
All right.
Here we go. I've got to stop the screen, present, share the screen, make it full size. All right. So it compares the two versions of the Deadly Years. Maybe I don't want the sound.
You don't really need it.
Yeah, I'm going to mute it.
I'm wondering if you like, because a lot of it's just going to be the opening credits and
yeah, but it's
flybys of the
buffering.
planet.
It's
Oh, I
buffering.
know. I dig. I didn't mean to yell.
You did though.
Oh, I know. I'm a mean man.
So much. I can't. It doesn't want to play.
Okay.
I don't know why. There it goes. Let's see if I can skip around. Okay, so there's a difference in the planets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's supposed to be the difference there.
I don't know.
There.
Oh, they also give context as to where the episode is, and so if there is sort of the flyby, yeah, then they'll add that in.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
Oh, and there's two. Okay, there's two bird of prey. Birds of prey.
Aren't there 10?
Do they say specifically that there are 10? They say that they're bracketed, but I didn't get a count on how many.
I think they said 10.
Okay.
Which seems insane.
Well, and what are they doing violating the neutral zone? Do they just all wait on the border until someone crosses over into the neutral zone and then they just pounce?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Asked and answered.
I don't know for real, but they're around. Obviously, they're patrolling the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime a starship gets in the way, they're like, "There's the excuse. We get to war."
We get to war. Hooray! What do you want to do today? War. But yeah. But still, the tension of the Enterprise being pummeled with the Romulan weapon is interesting, and Kirk is, I've got to get up to the bridge. I got to get up there. Even go so far as to restrain him.
Yes, they do.
And then Commodore Stalker wants to see if he can negotiate with the Romulans. Silly rabbit.
Yeah, even her has to say, that doesn't work. The Romulans are notorious for not listening to explanations, sir. She's a lot more polite than I would be.
He doesn't even know to do evasive maneuvers. He doesn't return fire. I'm assuming that's because he wants to maintain peace.
Yeah, right. But doing evasive maneuvers isn't a sign of aggression. It's a sign of self-preservation.
Or set a course away, like get us out of the neutral zone.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But they were bracketed. They were bracketed. Okay. So maybe that the maneuvers of the Romulans had encircled.
That could be an excuse if they were bracketed right away.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are 10, that makes sense.
And they're dropping out, like they're decloaking. So when they show up, it's just going to be immediate.
So, and the book says the original script for The Deadly Years would have allowed viewers to see Kirk, after he's given the curative serum, grow younger as he rushes from sickbay to the bridge. The restoration would have happened en route, but the actors' performances as old men were apparently too realistic. Their slower delivery of lines and halting physical movements bogged down the show's normally crisp pacing. In order to make the episode come in at the correct length, the rejuvenation sequence was scrapped, replaced by footage that implied Kirk did all of his de-aging while strapped to the bed in sickbay.
Which would have been an interesting effect. And actually, when they talk about this, there's a couple things here. Spock has a beaker and gives it to Chapel, who in the middle of this firefight with things being thrown all over the place, she rests it on a table, probably not the best move. And then they give Kirk the shot, and yes, you get to see him writhing from the pelvis during this. But I was thinking of the second season Next Generation episode where Dr. Pulaski gets super old and they fix it with the transporter. And I was like, well, at least they didn't magic transporter this, but
that's in my final review.
Okay. Then I'll stop talking about that. But no,
you can if you want to. It's
I think it would have been cool to see the effects of the inoculation, if you will, to reverse the aging process. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it would draw him back to his original age. He should just stop aging. Right?
Right. We don't exactly know how this adrenaline actually reverses the effects that have already occurred. That is not explained. Chekhov is happy about it. Well, right, here it is. We're surrounded by Romulan vessels, maximum of 10, so 10 or less.
And I'm assuming that they're going in and out of cloak.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's why he can't be precise. That makes sense. And so this is the tie-in from before. This time he means to use Code 2, which he knows the Romulans will tap into, because the Romulans don't know that they know that the Romulans know the Code 2.
They don't know that we know that they know that we know.
So, using that information, he pulls back something from the Corbomite maneuver that he used on Blaylock's ship. Blaylock.
But also a nice reintroduction as well. You don't have to have seen that episode as it went with syndication anyway, because you can watch pretty much any episode any order you want.
Right.
But he does explain the maneuver accurately and concisely.
That's true. You don't have to have seen the Corbomite maneuver to get the reference, because he says that there's a substance that will destroy all matter within a 200,000 kilometer diameter, and that's all you need to know. You don't need to know anything about Tranya.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted you because there was like a lot of background noise going on.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm sorry. I was a little distracted. But if you do have something to say, I want to hear it. Absolutely.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Did we miss something? Okay.
Yeah,
if we missed something, I want to hear it.
Wait. Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay, good.
And I wouldn't be able to remember, honestly, Jill. I'm so sorry. It got me so drugged up, I don't remember from 1 minute to the next. I apologize.
I'm just glad you're around.
I apologize to everybody in the chat. I'm not my usual self today.
Hey, you brought the blooper. That's more than I even knew that we would get. I figured everything was at home, so I'm glad it made it. I'm glad the bloopers made it to the hospital.
Yeah. It's great to have you here, man. I didn't think that you were going to be around, and so this is fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't want to miss it, so thank you. Thank you for your patience, guys.
And even then, when Kirk comes back to the bridge and
Yes.
Commodore Stalker is like, thanks for saving us. I'm dumb. I don't know what I'm doing. And obviously there are things a starship can do that a starbase cannot. And especially if there's the right man at the helm. So he even admonishes himself, saying, I am in no way fit for command of a starship.
Yeah, so it's hard to get too mad at him. He knows what he did.
You should know, however, that there's very little a starbase can do that a starship can't.
If I may say so, Captain, I am now quite aware of what a starship can do. With the right man at the helm.
And like he is almost like fanboying out. I love it. I do. Like I feel bad for all those years of me thinking that Commodore Stalker was a chuckle monkey.
Well, he kind of is, but he's self-aware about it.
He's a self-aware chuckle monkey. He knows his limitations.
And so the last thing that the book says is this. It has a quote. It has this quote that we saw earlier. This one.
Some more blood, Chekhov. A needle won't hurt, Chekhov. Take off your shirt, Chekhov. Roll over, Chekhov. Breathe deeply, Chekhov. Blood sample, Chekhov. Marrow sample, Chekhov. Skin sample, Chekhov. If I live long enough, I'm going to run out of samples.
You'll live.
Oh, yes, I'll live. But I won't enjoy it.
And then it says, one of the unsolved mysteries of Star Trek is how Khan recognized Chekhov when he first laid eyes on him. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, After All, Space Seed, the episode that introduced Khan aired during Star Trek's first season, and actor Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov, didn't join the show until season 2. So isn't it logical to think that Chekhov wasn't posted to the Enterprise until then? Well, you can believe that, or if you prefer to think otherwise, you can pick up a hint dropped in The Deadly Years. Arriving on the bridge during the episode's final act, the once again youthful Kirk quickly assesses the situation at hand. The Enterprise is surrounded by Romulan vessels with no way to get back across the neutral zone unless some of them give way, and sends a message to Starfleet that he knows the Romulans will decode. Since escape is impossible, he's going to implement the Enterprise's recently installed Carbomite device, which will destroy all matter within a 200,000 kilometer diameter. As Kirk initiates this clever ploy, Sulu and Chekhov exchange conspiratorial grins that seem to show they know exactly what Kirk is doing, because they recall the last time he did it, way back in season 1's The Carbomite Maneuver. Now, Justice fans know that Sulu was not initially a member of the Enterprise's crew. He was a physicist in Where No Man Has Gone Before. This little sight gag gives them a reason to suspect that Chekhov might have been assigned to the Enterprise's lower decks, where Khan came aboard, which means, of course, that Khan certainly could have encountered him. Why not?
That's my thought.
That's my thought too, but I never really thought about this episode in relation to that.
Yeah, not the clue of Sulu and Chekhov sort of, the Corbomite maneuver. Very well played, Captain.
Yes. Yeah, so that helps with that theory too.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And so now we're at the part of the stream where we can review the episode, but maybe I'll take a look at the chat first. Andy's Tiger Sci-Fi Review says a flag officer, yes, but not a line officer. There's a difference. And Commodore Stone is a line officer according to dialogue. That's true, but we don't know about Mendez. I think it would be a rhombohedron, actually. I'm going to do some rhombus-based mathematics after this stream to figure out what is going on with this rhombus and its three-dimensional counterpart.
And then we're going to drink wine out of it.
Yes, and then we will construct one out of plexiglass and drink out of it. The AI show says that would make sense. Admirals in Star Trek seem to have the experience to make choices in terms of choosing captains and making decisions. I don't see that with Commodores. Lemon Pie says, but drinking from a 2D shape would have a greater comedic effect.
Lots of spilling.
Well, yeah. Like if it was a plastic piece of kind of paper-like material, you could bend it. You can bend a 2D shape, make a funnel. And then you have a 3D shape, so I just ruined it.
Mm-hmm.
Fiona says...
I wasn't going to correct you. You'd get it.
I have to turn this 2D shape into a 3D shape for this to work.
Well, then now you have a 3D shape.
Fiona says to Indy Tiger, how does Starfleet distinguish that? In the Navy, all flag officers would have been line officers at some point. That's a good point. No. Right, because he went through Starfleet Academy. Even if he doesn't go on the field, he must have learned how to do it in case he had to. But I guess he only learned the theory, and theory doesn't always translate into experience.
Administration, human resources, regulations, obviously, physical training. Well, maybe not. Commodore Stalker does have a bit of a punch. But yeah, I think that there would have been secondary roles, sort of like someone who, runs a supply yard or a port.
Okay, and James Caserta asks, what's the difference between a hormone and a vitamin? Well, the hormone is a chemically based message system that transports that information around the body, and a vitamin is some kind of substance you take to
through nutrients and ingestion.
Yes. Darius Munchausen says, my stepfather has Alzheimer's. I'm sorry. He couldn't remember working for the post office and retiring, but he recounted to me his time in Thailand in the Air Force in vivid detail.
Well, yeah. Darius, it's so strange. My grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's, and it was really tough on my dad because my dad would go and visit, and she thought my dad was her first husband. And so the discombobulation was more about what had happened recently as opposed to things that had happened in the far past. And yeah, it's frightening. I feel badly for anyone who has that affliction, and I wish them a speedy recovery if there is such a thing.
Yes. Andy Tiger says to Fiona, I don't know. I'm basing my comments on U.S. Navy experience. But McCoy does say in one episode he's a service officer, if I remember correctly.
It becomes a weird question when it comes to the military organization of Starfleet as well, because you even get, like, later on, you get O'Brien saying he's an enlisted man, he never got a commission. It is sort of just the background of Starfleet, and I don't know if they go that specifically into it, but I can understand any contradictions I don't think it was specifically laid out.
And not having been in the military myself, I very much appreciate all of the military consultants in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that a good supply and logistics officer could be put in command of a starbase. This Commodore Stalker gets his flag. And the AI show says, if Star Trek had a season 4, episode 101, we go to war.
War!
Well, that's what the Romulans want, so. And Klingons, too, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
There are 10 ships, not all bird of prey, says Indy. Intriguing. Fiona says, Navy, we have 2 chains of...
Just a second, I'm sorry.
Fiona says, in the U.S. Navy, we have 2 chains of command, the operational chain and the administrative chain. And Ariba Bell says, kind of like reverse Wolfram effect.
Wolfman
effect. The proposed rejuvenation scene.
That would have been so
that would
cool.
have been... I'm imagining in my brain, and it looks amazing.
It would have kind of been like, remember when they had that sort of plague on Miri's planet?
Yes.
It would have been sort of a dissolve going from older to younger. That would have been cool, but I can understand why they didn't film.
Well, they ran out of time because they didn't want to cut short the great performances that everyone did on acting old. You acted too slow. No, they did it perfect. They acted old so perfectly that they ended up cutting a really cool special effect. The AI show says, I gather this Commodore never had a starship command. Doesn't know evasive maneuvers, really? Yeah, that is a bit unbelievable to me. But Fiona says, I hate that TNG turned the transporter into a gene splicer. Me too. It's annoying. Well, but it happens in the animated series first. The AI show... Wait, does it happen?
Yes, where they shrunk small, wasn't it?
And I guess you can consider the enemy within is a bit of that too. Well, also the Lorelei signal, where they got old in that episode too, and they used transporter.
Magic transporter. I am very forgiving for the plot device that is the transporter.
I am too. But I am also very happy when they don't rely on it.
Yes.
The AI show says there may be a Romulan neutral zone, but there's nothing neutral about Romulans. Fiona adds, if you aged artificially, your next cell mitosis may create appropriate age cells after the cause is removed. In this case, the de-aging would take up to 3 months. Hey, that's awesome, Fiona. But of course, we don't have 3 months to wait in sick bay for Kirk to come deploy the Corbomite maneuver. But that is awesome. I love that thought. That when they figured out the cure created the cells as they were before. And they had to multiply throughout the body. And in order for it to actually occur, it would take 3 months. That would be realistic. Thank you. That makes sense to me. James Caserta says that makes no sense.
Agreed.
I
don't know in reference to what, but all right.
I don't know in reference to what either. I thought it was kind of funny after what I said. I really enjoyed Fiona's comment. Indy Tiger says to Fiona, in the 80s, we called them line officers and service officers. Stockard and McCoy would be service officers, no training or experience in ship's command. Maybe that has changed since then. That does explain why Stockard doesn't know.
Mm-hmm. And also, like in Next Generation, they do, what is it? Dr. Crusher takes the command courses to be able to take command, essentially. And so.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We never see Dr. McCoy take command.
No, we don't. Not even on the shuttle.
Nope.
Yeah, because it's always Scotty and Spock. Fiona says, sci-fi review in the 80s, I would have called them bohahaha, baby talk. The AI show says to me, good point on Khan and Chekhov. I hadn't thought about that in years. Yeah, that book is really good. And Fiona says, let's see Kirk schedule 2,000 shipments of Quadro Triticale at the same time, making sure Salisbury steak night goes off without a hitch. And Gorilla says, the F wasn't mine. I gave it an A. I gave it a very low C minus. It was very close to a D plus. Oh. Okay. Thank you, Gorilla.
We do have the poll, yeah.
Yeah, we do have a poll. And in a minute, we'll get to our reviews. Franco Walker says that the Chekhov theory, that's the Chekhov theory. I'm going with anti-derivative Jill. And again, that was Paula and Block from the Star Trek 365 book. Nice. And Fiona says, you're right. Rhomboids are 2D parallelograms that are rhombus-like.
And you can drink wine from them.
Franco Walker says, I gave this an A minus. He bumped it up for Walter's performance. Darius loves geometry. Yeah, me too. But I've got some learning to do, apparently. Or Greg, and I love that. I love it when there's something that I don't know. That I will become an expert on it soon. Or Greg says, second star to the right and straight on until morning. Darius also loves substances.
I'm with you, pal.
And Kronos is here. Hey, Kronos.
Hey, Kronos.
Anyone feeling a bit aged?
Older than when we started, for sure.
Right. Well, with that joke, I wanted to get to the joke here. Gentlemen, all in all, an experience we'll remember in our old age.
Which hopefully isn't too soon.
Disturbance commanders would obviously be in the administration chain, whereas starship officers would be in the operational chain. And the enemy within, it's more like a Xerox machine. And it just solved the problem that it itself created. Yeah, and that's true. That makes sense. It's less magical. It's more like a reversal of effects. They definitely don't overuse the transporter in the original series, which is good. Starbase commanders would obviously be in the administration chain, whereas starship officers would be in the operational chain. And all your starbase belong to us. All your starbase are belong to us. That's the Romulans, I suppose. That's what they say. Fiona says, I don't. Jill got my Let's See Kirk run in a starbase joke.
I got it. I got it, Fiona. I think Jill did too.
I did. Yeah, that's an old video game translation.
Yes. I'm sorry about the distractions and the noise, guys.
Well, we understand your.
I'll give me one of those little red. I'll give me one of those little red on the air signs and put it outside my door.
Nice.
James Caserta says, "No, you need to be treated. What you're doing at the hospital is more important than any live stream."
I know.
Darius says, "Somebody set us up. Somebody set up us the bomb." And Krona says, "Sorry, all my hearing is gone." Well, I'm
Like
sorry, I
Lieutenant
can't hear
Galway.
us anymore.
Sorry to hear that, Kronos.
What?
Oh, that's the name of a person? Is an at sign?
At all. I think to everyone.
And we got Charles Drake as Commodore Stalker. Sarah Marshall. As Janet Wallace. Felix Locker as Mr. Johnson. Who is Mr. Johnson in this episode?
I don't know. Maybe
I
Mr.
don't know either.
That was the old man and the old lady at the beginning.
Oh, right. Yeah, Robert Johnson.
Okay, see, I knew him as Robert Johnson, Mr. Johnson. Okay,
Right, him and his wife.
I'm going senile too. My old age.
And Mrs. Johnson is 27.
Yeoman Atkins was played by Carolyn Nelson. And Laura Wood plays Mrs. Johnson.
That's crazy cool. I went to grade school with a girl named Laura Wood.
Cool.
Not this one, but a Laura Wood.
And Arlene Galway was played by Beverly Washburn.
The actor that played Robert Johnson, his name is Felix Locker. Having been born on July 16th, 1882, he's the earliest born actor to appear in any Star Trek episode or film at 85 years of age.
Nice.
Wow. And I guess they started off the episode with someone who was actually old so that they didn't have to do as much makeup.
Exactly right.
Incredible.
Maybe they used them as models.
That makes sense.
But I did like the makeup.
So let's go into our reviews of the episode. For me, Oh yeah, pop. Yeah, you go first. Pop culture. Go for it.
Oh.
Yeah, while we still
really
have
like...
you here, just in case you have to go away.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for your patience, everybody. I gave this episode an A. I really enjoyed it. I even liked it when I was a kid. I'm a fan of Hollywood film and TV makeup, and I think that the makeup was exceptional for the day, for the 60s, and considering it was a TV show, because usually makeup like that would be a big chunk of the budget. And I think that it's interesting that we know that we've seen in real life those actual actors age, and most of them did age better than they looked on that show. And William Shatner looks better than he did then. And I mean, he's heavier now. He has more weight, but he didn't. I don't think he even looks nearly his age at all. I think that's bad, and he's not senile, unlike the character of Captain Kirk. So I thought it was great. I can't really think really straight a lot. I apologize, but that's my review, guys. But I did enjoy the
No,
episode.
that's a great review. It's true that Shatner has aged really well. He's still riding his horses and his motorcycles, and at least in 2016 when I went to the Star Trek convention, the 50th, his panel was the best panel out of all the panels. He's highly entertaining and fun to listen to.
Absolutely. Sharp as a tack. He remembers everything, and he's excellent at entertaining the audience.
Mhm. Yeah, great at telling stories.
Well, I'm going to give this episode a B. It's a good bottle episode, and obviously the budget did go towards the makeup effects. It was interesting. I've always been rubbed a little bit the wrong way by Kirk's reaction to Spock and thinking that this was mutiny. I would have thought that he was a little bit more held together in his fortitude, but I suppose that is the tension of the episode. But it never struck me. It never struck the right chord with me. And as I mentioned before, I always remembered Commodore Stalker as being sort of a blowhard idiot, and this one it's just like, no, he's just an inexperienced Commodore who has no business being on the bridge of a starship. But I thought it was cool. It's a good character episode. Again, an almost all hands on deck, which does make me giddy. And a nice callback to the Corbomite maneuver, but more of a courtroom hearings, and let's resolve the situation until all of a sudden someone screws up and now we're under attack because of one dumb guy. And so it's not an A, and I usually put these up against other episodes as well. If I appreciate Bird of Prey 5's everything's an A in the original series, and I do agree, but when you put them up against other original series episodes,
I agree as well. Yes, Bird of
I
Prey.
think that there are sort of bars that you have to meet, and I wouldn't necessarily call this one as good as Arena or Balance of Terror, which they got most of the special effect or all of the special effects from in the original broadcast. So a warmly remembered B.
And I feel that way too compared to the rest of Star Trek. TOS gets all A's, so I definitely see where Bird of Prey 5 is coming from there. But I also give this a B. I wanted to know more about this solution that they figured out using the
adrenochrome.
Yeah, using adrenaline as the cure was an interesting idea. But they don't explain how much is necessary in order to combat it, because at some point everybody has some adrenaline going on. Everybody gets scared, anxious, stressed on some level. So just how much was needed, and a little bit on that I would have liked to know about. And I'm not really sure how this hormone worked to reverse the aging, but I guess since it works for puberty, it's working backwards somehow or something. I actually was thinking that, but then Fiona gave me a better idea, which is that it produced the cells that were it caused the growth of the cells as they were before, and that it would take 3 months for it to actually work. I really like that answer the best, so thank you for that.
Yeah, it is good.
Fiona,
And
that helped me a lot.
All of the scientific and military advisors in the chat, top marks today. Top marks.
And what you said earlier, Scotty, I was just so happy they didn't use magical transporter like in Unnatural Selection on The Next Generation.
Unnatural Selection, that's the one.
Because of course the transporter has a bunch of issues with that, because you would need the physical copy in order, I would think, in order to revert something like that. And the makeup's great, of course. Like Pop Culture was saying, you really feel like everyone is going a bit slower and they seem older. Even though I really did want Spock to take command, but someone in the chat helped me out with that too. He wanted to solve the issue more than he wanted. He thought that figuring out a solution before Captain Kirk died was more important first before getting him back on the bridge. And that makes sense to me. It would have been nice to have that in dialogue a bit, though. And the Corbomite maneuver return is fun. And that's it. I give it a B for that. And it makes sense. If you got 10 ships, the only way out of it is to play poker again.
Well, and I'm gonna have to revisit this one again just for the space battle at the end. Actually, I'll just do the side-by-side comparison that you were showing and check it out.
Yeah, that's true. You can just do that. Or you could just watch that particular scene. But let's see what the chat thinks. And for that, we have the poll. So we just have a poll here.
That's what that thing was in sickbay. It was a poll.
It was a poll? What?
Yeah, the tinfoil thing.
Yes.
Ooh, tight race.
Right. 44% give it an A. 41% give it a B. 11% a C. And 4% a D to an F.
But still, bird of praise.
Not bad. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Assessment of it. I like the wide range of opinions.
Yeah, me too. It's varied today. Darius says, it's from an old Sega Genesis game, Zero Wing, to Jill. The bad translation became a meme, but the music was killer. Yeah, it was.
I'm going to have to do some investigating, Darius.
No, you're right. It's really great. It's a classic. I like playing Zelda 2 and finding the guy in the house that says, I am error. Franco Walker says, damn it. Just got a text saying my friend will be here in about 30 minutes. That means I will have to put some clothes on. It's too hot.
Try to stay cool out there.
Right. Make some lemonade.
I'm cool all the time.
It's true, you are.
Thanks, Gil.
The AI show says, in my analysis, TV writing is essentially PRS, problem, reaction, solution. Fiona says, the Kirk running a Starbase joke was, let's see him schedule all of the grain shipments and Salisbury steak night, etc. He's a great starship captain, but might not be great at desk work. Right, you're right. I've never seen him really be a bureaucrat like that.
You know what your problem is, Jim? You're down here running a computer console when you'd rather be out there hopping galaxies.
Clothes are overrated, says Kronos.
It's true. But necessary a lot of the time.
And Fiona says to Darius, I think it's a chat delay. The comments lose their relevance a few minutes old. And yeah, I do realize that. I'll figure it out someday. Oh, and hello to Dark Helmet.
Ahoy, Dark Helmet.
And the AI show says, that's why we don't see Kirk as an admiral in the movies working outside of a starship. Desk-bound Kirk would likely be bland and out of his depth. And also, he has to wear those glasses.
You know, for most patients your age, I'd recommend Retinox.
Kronos says, shouldn't you buckle in, sir? And Dark Helmet says, No, it's the future. Nothing works still.
With a hard F-bomb. True story. Little Spaceballs humor.
On that last slide, is Kirk going to go where old men have gone before, after all? The last slide. Let me see what that was. Oh. Okay, yeah, he's looking at Dr. Wallace. Who likes old men?
And she cannot lie.
And Kronos gives it a B-ish. Me too. Pop, you could try push to talk mode. And subscribe to Tony, Struck of Iron. He shows up on Friday sometimes, every to talk about fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
James Caserta says he's also a blowhard idiot.
James, you're so hard on Commodore Stalker.
He is. He's got his opinions.
Almost blew up the ship, so I get it. I understand the animosity.
He did. Without Captain Kirk there, they would have had to do a self-destruct. For real. Kronos says, what does anti-derivative Spartacus need with the starship? The AI show gives it an A-. Good solid concept for a threat episode. The aging aspect allows on an examination of characters and their behavior from different vantage points. Also, the Commodore gives us a look at Starfleet. Oh, those are great points.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is sort of procedural in how Starfleet conducts itself.
I like that you call it a character study, because then that makes sense why, was it Fiona said when she was a kid she got it mixed up with The Naked Time, because that was also a character study in different kinds of behavior.
Yes.
Kronos says, it's called sci-fi, don't overthink it. If I did that, then I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, the 5-minute review. This is the one where they get old. Thanks for showing up, everybody. I like how the music played.
Cam's Crash Course says, hello again, everyone. I had to step away to help my parents.
Good man.
Yeah, you're a great son.
It's not the sun up in the sky, don't you understand? It's the Son of God.
Yeah, exactly, Franco Walker. That's what sci-fi is for. Didn't sci-fi invent Velcro?
Well, no, that was the Vulcans.
The Vulcans.
The Vulcans in Carbon Creek, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Enterprise episode. Franco Walker says, welcome back to Cam. Up to 3 months. Many of the body's cells replace themselves much more quickly. The hair would take even longer, says Fiona. I think that's fun to think about. You made this episode way more fun for me.
Yeah.
Franco Walker says it was either someone in Scandinavia or the Vulcans. I always thought it was NASA.
But thanks for the Enterprise shout out. That's great. Franco gets it.
Oh. It was George de Mestral. He went hiking in the woods. 1948.
Oh, was it because of burrs?
I don't know. Okay. I'd have to read more. I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
The older you get, the less of a grade the show gets.
Well, Kronos, it's interesting that you bring that up, because there were a couple of notes from critics at the time, and also notes from Robert Justman saying, doesn't anybody learn anything about growing old and how it's not necessarily a blight? It is, you should learn something from the benefits of it. And it's funny just based on that, because I was going to come in here talking about how useless the elderly were, but then I figured, no, don't do that. But the older you get, the more it's like, what's wrong with getting old? It's better than the alternative.
True, I guess that makes sense if you were actually experiencing it in real time. If you slowly get there, they do say life goes by so fast, but at least you actually are on the journey. But in this episode, it's just 1 minute you're 34, the next minute you're 70. It makes sense that it's not a good time.
Well, and I remember when I had to switch over to getting like reading glasses, and I felt like Admiral Kirk on the bridge of the Enterprise. And I was like, I used to take pride in my vision. Now I gotta wear these goggles.
I've had the same prescription since I was 12, so
Oh.
I think whenever it starts to degrade from here is when I'll feel that way.
Let's hope it doesn't.
Cam says, I gave this a B+, but I have reevaluated, and based on the makeup and performance, I gave it an A. Cool. That's awesome. And it's a B for Kronos, A- for James Caserta.
Nice.
Cam says, thanks, mate. You're a good bloke, my friend, to Franco Walker. And Kronos says he sings a country song and then says he doesn't like the country song. Yeah, I would definitely get a strike if I played the South Park image that comes up to my mind when I think of that song. It's the episode where they do a dance competition and Stan learns how to dance to that song from his dad. Kronos says, be right back. I have to go outside. My back hurts and I may have to say later taters.
Well, Kronos, thanks for being here. And if you do come back or check out on the rerun, welcome back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mark Harkness says, Chekhov being night shift in season 1 as a theory is perfectly reasonable. But the real mystery of the Wrath of Khan was Mr. Kyle, all right. Khan would surely have recognized him more than Chekhov.
I don't think there are any scenes in Wrath of Khan between Khan and Mr. Kyle.
No? Okay. Well, then that explains that, then. Fiona M. says, just have the transporters fix Kirk's eyes. Oh, right. Well, and TNG rules would do that. Would be just fine doing that. Cam says, good to see you again. Am I following you or are you following me? And James Caserta says, transporter plastic surgery.
Little nip tuck.
Yeah, that's the problem with using the transporters for those kinds of things, because then if the transporter worked that way, you could just be 20 all of the time. I'm going to step through the transporter again today to de-age myself. Cam's Crash Courses says, I have a bad back too. He says to Kronos, from my army service, so he can empathize. I need to stand a lot as sitting exacerbates the situation. And Fiona says to Kronos, the whole point of sci-fi is to definitely overthink it. Oh, good. Then I'm in the right place. Franco Walker says, the transporter, Youth, Picard, Guinan, Ro, and Keiko. Then de-youth them in TNG's Rascals. That did happen.
Fun little Ferengi episode.
I need to go. I'm so sorry. They want to take x-rays. They're going to pull me out of the room.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This is important. You got to have x-rays and stuff. So thank you so much for making it to the live stream. I'm so excited that you were able to share with us your thoughts about this episode and all the things you had to share. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience, like I said, with the distractions and the noise.
No, you did wonderful. You don't have to apologize for any of it.
I'm hoping to be out early enough to Bill's stream. I'll be on there eventually when they're done poking and prodding.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Hopefully you can get something to eat first too.
Well, I'm not very hungry. The meds,
okay.
they do a number on my stomach. They brought me lunch. It's
Gotcha.
over on the counter.
Mm.
But I wanted to thank all you guys and thank you everyone in the chat. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys soon.
Yes. See you soon. See you later.
Cheers.
Take care, Scotty. Thank you, Jill.
Bye. All the best.
So happy that Pop Culture got to be here. It would be weird to talk about Star Trek without him.
Yeah, it would. The transporter card. All right. Cam says to me, I love you in a platonic fashion. You're the best. Cheers. Well, I love you too in a platonic fashion, Cam. Thank you. It's always great to see you around. Ari Bavel says to Scotty R37, I'm 64. Want to dance?
You want a piece of me, Spaceman? No. That's why I was remembering demographics and whatnot, and also, you can be a capable individual into the twilight years all you want. It's okay. I'm thinking about Mike from Red Letter Media and his distaste for the elderly, and so I didn't want to rip off his gag. But someday I'll get there.
You did promise you were going to make those jokes, and
I
then
was
you didn't.
going to, yes, because I didn't want to be a total jerk.
But it could have riled me up. I don't know. We'll never know now.
Well, that's because you're 72.
Mm-hmm. James Caserta says we all love Jill.
True.
Well, don't speak for everyone.
Well, everyone who's here, they wouldn't be on your channel.
No, I'm not. I'm not fishing for any of that. Anyway, let's drop that. Franco Walker says, I didn't.
Everybody put an L in the chat for Jill, or a J in the chat for Jill.
Okay, no, but I love that you guys want to talk about Star Trek with me. I really love this show, and I can't wait to talk more science fiction with y'all. And I learned so much in these live streams that I didn't know before. And it just is a really amazing thing to get more intimate with Star Trek. Fiona gives this episode an A+. This is an amazing character episode. We get to see aspects of our crew we don't often get to see, plus the production, effects, and acting. It really is a great, different episode. And Canadian Spider-Man says, good afternoon and welcome to the show, everyone. Glad you're with us today.
Hey, Spidey.
I overthinking too much, says Kim.
I thought about that, yeah.
Canadian Spider-Man says to us, just woke up. Neighbors showed up last night with cider and 2 pounds of weed. Sorry I'm late.
Your last night sounds incredible, sir.
Yeah, it sounds like...
I envy you, and I want one of those nights myself.
It sounds like lots of fun, where just friends show up with lots of weed and cider. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad time. Can you read this from Spidey?
Yeah. Spidey says to Cam's Crash Courses, hey there, buddy. Good to see you. Or glad to see you. We should get together soon, man. I miss talking with you, eh? The Canadian A.
Yeah, I always heard that y'all didn't say that. But
sometimes.
I guess you do. I guess you do sometimes.
A and a boot. These are things that are said.
No, that makes PvP so mad. He says that y'all don't say that either.
A boot? Oh no, I've been watching Canadian parliamentary activities, and I've been noticing a lot of people saying a boot. So while I appreciate PvP's perspective, he may just be sensitive and defending the honor of Canada.
Sensitive.
But I can, as another Canadian, say we're all about it.
Fiona says, regarding Kirk's eyesight, We already have accommodating artificial lenses. They are just pricey. By the 23rd century, there will be surgical as well as medical options. Right now we have LASIK. I could probably go get that if I can get over the fact that somebody's going to be slicing into my eyeballs.
Well, and speaking of medication, yeah, no, my dad had he had eye surgery. So did my mom, and they both I asked them about it, and they said they didn't care with the medications that they were administered.
They didn't care? What does that mean?
It means that they were sedated in such a way that the activities that were occurring in their ocular region were, not much of a big deal.
Right. Okay, so if I get LASIK, I have that to look forward to. James Caserta says, Jill's looking forward to being 20. I wish.
Just a couple more years and you'll be able to have some rhomboids of wine.
All I need is a transporter, and then I could do that. But we don't have one yet. Cam says to Spidey, how are you, brother? Hope the wildfires are giving you a wide berth.
Actually, I was thinking about Canadian Spider-Man's fire maintenance, and he's very, very good at it. So.
Oh, and Gorilla's Random Thoughts is giving us a preview for the fundraiser later. For Pop's fundraiser, it's going to be $10 for $10 for stuff I like, and $20 for dry heaving the shitty stuff. And James Caserta says, good luck to Pop. Yes, good luck. Canadian Spider-Man says, heck yeah, the wildfire that were largely human-caused are nowhere near us. British Columbia is actually having a really good fire year compared to past years. And
bunch of Jays.
Yeah, we got some Jays.
Huffing Jays.
Gorilla, Spidey says to Gorilla, good day to you. Fiona says, I think Jill is fairly universally loved. That is not a controversial opinion.
I don't think so. I don't think it's controversial.
Just probably with me, because I'd rather get back to the stuff we're talking about rather than myself. I don't like talking about myself for some reason.
That's interesting. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. No. The only C I ever got was on a paper in which I had to talk about myself. I didn't want to. Franco Walker says, I knew I had a long t-shirt. I'll just wear that while my friends are here.
Hide your shame.
Troubles? Yeah. What's so troubling about not having died? Admiral McCoy in Encounter at Farpoint.
Yep.
Happy Tuesday, and good to see you here again. More Jays. And the Canadian Spider-Man saying hello some more. And he wants to do some more karaoke on Jedi's Bill's channel soon. Who knows? It might happen tonight. Jedi Bill sometimes lapses. That's kind of rude. He sometimes does some karaoke even during a regular live stream.
He prepares a stage for the karaoke.
Cider and 2 pounds of weed. I'm shocked. You made it back before July.
Ari, come on. 2 pounds? That does sound like a Monday night.
Oh, and Franco Walker has to go. Goodbye, Franco Walker.
See you, Franco.
See you soon. I know I'll see you again sometime. And we're just gonna finish the chat here, and this show will be over. Spidey says, "Love how Jill says y'all, and it's not put on or fake. Love it. All right, because it's a real word. Yeah, I use it when I mean you all. I use it for its intended purposes.
It is a contraction and appropriately applied.
And subscribe to Clobbering Times. I pretty much wouldn't be here, I don't think, doing this without Clobby. I like that guy. Darius Munchausen says, I can accept that Canadians don't say a boot if we also concede it sounds more like a boat.
A boat? A boat? Yeah, you know what, Darius? I think you're actually correct. I've heard some people say a boot. I don't know if they're putting it on, as Canadian Spider-Man said with y'all, but you're in more conversational. It's not as pronounced. It's not a boot. It is a boat. It's we never say about.
Well, what about that?
I don't want to talk about it.
You really had to.
I had to try. Yeah, I had to work at it.
It's amazing. Cam says, I used to go on Jedi Bills and do some karaoke. We should get together and raid Bill sometimes. That would be fun. Grill is a gracious, good man.
True.
Fiona says LASIK won't help for reading. Your natural lens becomes hard with aging and can you need to replace it with an accommodating focusing lens. Oh, you know what then? I'm just going to stick with glasses. If LASIK doesn't help with reading, what's the point? That's the whole reason I would do it anyway. Vancouver has been one of the first places to do laser eye surgery, I believe, including LASIK for 30 years that I've seen. I'd like it too, Jill. Glasses are a pain in the ass. Well, only when they're falling off. Wow, you are all still on? Yeah, just for a few minutes. I do karaoke on Bills again. I've already recovered from surgery. Lady Munchausen is all settled in. I'm just trying to stay on a healthy schedule and budget repairs. Oh, well, I'm glad you're recovering. You're recovered. You had surgery and you're recovered. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the donors for lenses are dead motorbike riders in their 20s to 30s.
It's been a long time since I've heard a good motorcycle donor joke.
And I agree completely with Herc 130. I reject all apologies from Pop Culture Curator because he has nothing to apologize for. I think he has gone far above and beyond lately with these streams. Yeah, he's still going even though he's in the hospital and they're giving him all this medicine. That he hasn't given up. Mark Harkness says, the fact that we don't see Kyle after Khan captures Chekhov and Terrell is the worry.
Oh. Maybe Khan killed Kyle.
And Fiona says they have artificial ones now. They will be perfect by Kirk's time. Oh, for the lenses. Oh, instead of donations. Lapse into karaoke. Yeah, I realized that was a bad way to phrase it.
We all degenerate into the whole singings.
Cam says, yeah, that would be awesome. We should figure out a way to do that. Yeah, you guys should. And Spidey says to Darius, it's good to hear that you're recovering well. I hope it all goes perfectly. Do you have any pictures to share?
Oh, no.
Franco Walker says, take care, everyone, and much love to you all.
Cheers.
And James Caserta says he's universally hated.
Incorrect.
And Fiona is correct. Data can't say y'all. Or can't, for that matter.
I wonder, I'm going to have to go back and watch A Fistful of Datas and see if he says y'all. But it's on the holodeck, so I don't know if it counts.
Well, there are several mistakes in which he does say contractions in TNG when he's not supposed to.
There's one really egregious
Those are errors.
There's one egregious one.
And evening to Not Brian.
Ahoy,
Is
Not
evening
Brian.
already? Oh yeah, it's past 3. What if you break your glasses? I
Is
have
it a threat?
backup glasses.
What if I break your glasses? Then you'll need it.
What if
Fix
you break your glasses? You're going to be responsible for their breaking.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to
But
incite
it's
violence.
funnier your way.
Yeah, but it's also more threatening. I didn't mean to cast aspersions.
It's not cool that I can no longer focus close up, says Spidey. Started around a few years ago, around the age of 46 or so.
See, mine started about, how old? How old was I? Probably about 42.
Well, I'll keep you guys updated on when mine starts to degrade from where it started.
One day you're going to show up and you're, guys, they botched the laser eye surgery. Now I can shoot lasers out of my eyes.
Right. Fiona says, I can write a script in 10 minutes to contract every expression in a Word document. I always found it ridiculous that Data couldn't create a contraction subroutine. Yeah, that is kind of silly. But it was a way to make them talk differently, I guess. An easy way. Darius says to Spidey, not unless you want to see 3 porthole scars on my abdomen. And Cam says, great to see you. How is it going? Yeah, and everybody's saying hello to Not Brian. And speaking of Clobby's channel, check out R.M. Briggs on Patreon. Not only has she written a book of sci-fi short stories, but she's writing more. She's going to have another book that's going to come out. Can't wait. And Chrono says, maybe some of them didn't survive City Alpha 5. Yeah, 46 is very good. Some people don't start losing their close-up vision. Some people start losing their close-up vision in their late 30s, early 40s.
That's when that was me.
Okay. I'm entering my late 30s. I guess I am in my late 30s. Shit.
What?
Huh? Canadian Spider-Man says, damn, Darius, that would be actually intriguing. Fredericton, New Brunswick, used to have a cow with a window into its stomach at the experimental farm. I have no idea what I just read. No joke.
Well, no, but that's true. There was a cow to show the digestive system. They put a transparency on the outside of it so you could see the internal workings.
Oh, like a museum exhibit.
Oh, it was alive. It was a live cow with a window on the outside so you could see what was going on the inside.
What?
Yeah, that's a thing. I forget the name of the cow, but Spider-Man is absolutely correct.
How?
How is he correct? Because of the
No,
scientific thing that happened in Fredericton.
But how do you install a window on a cow?
Well, you got to find a really good contractor.
That sounds crazy.
It was for science.
If you break your glasses, just drink straight from the bottle.
Makes sense.
Says Not Brian. Many of my friends are showing their age physically. Personally, I prefer to ignore and pretend I'm still 20, says Spidey. Yeah, that's the way to go. And Cam's still going through some stuff, but he'll be okay.
Good.
Who needs a glass? Bushmills comes in one. And Dalek451 didn't mind how Data spoke. I think it fitted him. And Chrono says, I lost my hair in my late teens. I'm very lucky.
I agree, Kronos.
Well, if you lose it early, you don't really miss it.
Exactly.
Data is my favorite TNG character, same as Jill. Yes, that's right. Data is my favorite TNG character. It's very true. I typically do relate to the robots and artificial intelligence on a general level. The cow was alive. That's gotta be true. What's going on in Canada?
We've got mad scientists. Mad cow scientists.
Cows have more stomachs.
Yes.
Weird science. That's gross.
It is gross. It is gross.
I learned about this today. Myopa, hyperpoia. I gotta make this big. Myopa, hyperopa, and presbyopa are all focal aberrations of the eye, but the corrections are different. LASIK is for myopa, but will actually accelerate presbyopa. Yeah, I never really did any deep research into LASIK, but people keep telling me to do it, and I'm so glad that I didn't.
Well, certainly look into it.
Yeah, I'll look into it. Yeah, I'll read more about it. There's nothing wrong with learning more.
Right.
And James Caserta says, I asked Jill to marry me in another reality. She said no. Wow, so not even in a different reality. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, did you ask her to marry you in the other reality or in this reality, which said, no, the other reality is off? There are too many realities. I don't like this multiverse trend.
Yeah, because it's not as easy to travel between the different universes as Deep Space Nine would have you believe. Cam says, WTF? They put a window in a cow? Canadians.
Yes,
laughing
they did.
Face. Sounds like religions.
Yeah, Presbytopia. They don't look like Presbyterians to me.
Lemon pie. I'm too easily amused today for some reason. My hair is wavy.
In that I am waving it goodbye. Well, and hey, when casting Patrick Stewart, how do you think they would have a bald captain in the 24th century? Gene Roddenberry replied, in the 24th century, no one will care. So
no one will care if you don't have hair.
Exactly. Look at ILIC.
True.
Presbytopia is the way.
Goodbye to you, and see you next time to Lemon Pie.
See you, Lemon.
Oh, I don't know if he was going away or if just his hair was going away.
Yeah, are we just waving? Let's wave goodbye to Lemon Pie's hair.
Goodbye, Lemon Pie's hair.
I didn't mean to actually do it. Never mind.
I'm not leaving. It was a joke about hair. Says Lemon Pie. And Krona says, I don't like the idea of having phasers being shot into my eyes. Yeah, me neither. That's why I haven't done it. It's the funniest thing. I love science fiction, but I don't want to do it to myself. Like when it turns real and there's a thing. I just don't want anybody slicing into my eyeballs. Just me. Fiona says, I just heard Canon Sung didn't allow Data to use contractions. He did this because Laura was too human and wanted to make him different. So it is an issue of may not rather than cannot. Yes, that's right. That's exactly the reason.
Mm-hmm. And to carry on with your headcanon, I always understood that without the contractions, Data would have to speak more specifically, and thusly he wouldn't be able to lie as easily as Lore did, because you can race through a falsehood when you got contractions to speed you along.
How much time does that really save, though?
Well, for an android, an eternity.
If you have LASIK to fix your nearsightedness, you will need reading glasses sooner. Well, see, I think I'm a bad candidate for LASIK then, because I have both. I'm both one eye is nearsighted, one eye is farsighted, and I have astigmatism. I'm just gonna wear my glasses and let reality play out. I don't even like contacts. Fiona says Roddenberry said no one would be bald, and Sir Stuart said no one would care.
And then I have been caught in my apocrypha. I apologize, Fiona. I thought that was a Roddenberry quote, but if it was Patty Stew, then way to go, Patty Stew.
Oh, right. Okay, see. Right. And so I do, like I said, I listened to a lot of Saturday Night Star Trek. So yes, I did learn from that Roddenberry did not even want Patrick Stewart as the captain. He wanted someone else. He wanted someone hotter. Lemon Pie says, wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. But you don't have hair.
I can't. It's
Me neither.
I got the hair. So, but for all of the follically challenged, please.
Ariba Bell says, Ilea comes from a race who use sexual expression as a common everyday thing. We really don't care that she's bald.
True.
Picard should have had hair again, says Kronos. Picard with dreadlocks would have been interesting. Haman, I have leave. I'm not. I feel wrong doing that. Anyway, thank you guys for coming to my live stream about Star Trek The Deadly Years. We've reviewed the episode. And next week we're going to look at another episode until we get all the way through season 3. Then we'll watch some. I decided we're going to watch some fan fiction. We're going to watch Star Trek Continues. And then after that, oh yeah, For All Mankind is the next show I want to review. So
nice.
I'm starting to get excited about that, even though we still have like a year.
Yeah, we got a ways
of Star Trek.
But at least the show is they're all episodes of things that I want to see. It's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's important if you're on the panel.
Yeah. And thank you for having me on the panel, Jill. It's always a pleasure to talk some Star Trek with you.
You're welcome. I'm so fortunate. I've got people who want to talk to me about Star Trek. And so, do you want to talk about your channel or anything you want to share today?
Well, we already talked about all the Quantum Leap stuff that's going on Thursday. And so aside from that, I don't know what the plan is. Our schedule has been askew, so I'm not sure what's going on. But the one constant is where Sam and Al take us on Thursdays. So I'm looking forward to that, Jill.
Mm-hmm. Me too. It's always a different adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And in some way also kind of the same. It's very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe to Gorilla's Random Thoughts, who has been in this chat. Fiona says, I have lots of eye problems, so I know this stuff. Star Trek Continues will be awesome. Going to do phase 2 also. Oh, I don't know if I want to get into all the different fan films. Just one would be good, I think.
Well, there's some direct continuations, no pun intended, of original series episodes, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think I'll do Continues, then I'll do For All Mankind, and maybe I'll come back and do some more fan films, because why not?
Mm.
I need more Star Trek, and the fans do a better job than anything current. And I will disagree with James Caserta. He says Jill is perfect. That would be
accurate. I'm okay with it. I'll let it slide.
So I make so many mistakes.
Only
I used to think that when I started live streaming, people would point out all of my mistakes, but no one points out But I guess some of them are pointed out during the live stream. But I thought it would happen like in the comment section afterwards, but it doesn't usually. Except for on Friday, someone did correct me about the history of Thomas Edison electrocuting an elephant. It wasn't him specifically; it was his employees. But I figure he's the head of the company. He still retains some responsibility for the death of animals under his leadership. But apparently it was a euthanasia for deaths that the elephant caused. So it was a little bit more complicated than some documentaries have you perceive.
What's weirder, putting a window in the stomach of a cow or electrocuting an elephant?
Well, electrocuting an elephant is worse because the elephant died. But the window in the stomach, I think it's a form of torture. I don't know.
The cow really wanted it.
The cow asked for it.
The cow walked in and said, "Hey, Doc."
Oh, and Fiona says Phase 2 is also a direct continuation. And Cam says, take it easy and be well. Y'all are the best, and I appreciate this chance to converse and share our love of TOS. And that's what this show's about. Thank you so much, Cam. Mm-hmm. Cheers, kids. They both have similarly impressive production values. Edison never got his hands dirty, says Fiona. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to, I don't know how innocent he is, but it was something by the animal rights activists actually wanted that to happen. They wanted the elephant to have a humane death, and that was seen as a way to get it. And then later on, employees of Edison said, look how inhumane this humane thing we did was, as a way to make Westinghouse's AC electricity look bad. But I very much thank whoever corrected me on that, because anytime I get to do some more research, I like learning when I'm wrong, so I can learn more. Much like Christopher Walken's SNL skit about Cowbell, YouTube needs more Star Trek, says the AI show, and I agree. And I also agree with the AI show. He just profited off of other people's work. Also. Mm-hmm. Yes. The Chicago World's Fair. Yes. With the elephant and stuff. An oblique reference worthy of a rumpus. Starship Farragut is great too, says James Caserta. Jill, it's not like you said Kirk's ship was Galaxy class. No, I didn't do that. I definitely know it's Constitution, so I know something. Thank you, Gorilla. So I'll play you guys out with the trailer for next week. Next week we're going to watch... What's the next episode?
I was going to ask you.
I forgot, and I even grabbed the trailer for it. It's labeled strangely.
Let's watch the trailer and find out together.
No, I should know this.
We will in a matter of moments.
Okay, so everybody have a fantastic Tuesday. Well, Reba Bell says, don't get Jill started on trapezoids. Please do not get me started on trapezoids. I will see you guys next time.
See you guys.
Bye.
Captain's log, stardate 4513.3. After having been taken over by an android, we are entering orbit around a planet which has never been charted. Who sent you?
You should refer to me as Mud the First. I've had 500 of them made up to attend me.
I love you. However, I hate you.
What a shame you're not real.
We are programmed to function as human females.
You are? This place is even better than Leningrad.
Hey!
He's dead. He had too much happiness.
The fact is, I've taken over your whole ship. There's nothing you can do about it.